amendment to the Polo Run Utility Reimbursement Agreement. The second paragraph in the action requested was updated to read, adoption of Budget Resolution B-19-100, amending the annual budget for Manatee County, Florida for fiscal year 2019. This budget amendment adjusts the fiscal year 19 through 23 CIP. Also, the budget amendment information forms were replaced with Budget Resolution B-19-100. And last, item 29, amendment to Utility Participation Agreement and Wastewater Connection Agreement for Willow Hammock. The second paragraph of the action requested was updated to read, adoption of Budget Resolution B-19-097, amending the annual budget for Manatee County, Florida for fiscal year 2019. This budget amendment adjusts the fiscal year 19 through 23 CIP. And then the budget amendment information forms were replaced with Budget Resolution B-19-097. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Announcements, we have 3 items with time certain, one at 9:15 by the clerk of the circuit court, 9:30, approval of a letter to be executed by the chairman to our Washington delegation for the Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys Act, and at 10 o'clock we have the refunding bond improvement bond series 2019 AB. Do we have any requests by the commissioners for items to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes, for for neighborhood services, I'd like with numbers that 18, and specifically for Center Success, Replay Outreach, and the School District of Manatee County. I don't want all of them to be pulled. I just want those 3 to be pulled. So I think I need to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
No.
No, you just
We'll
rolled
just,
it.
so
We'll talk about it.
say that again, item 18?
18 with specifics of 18 is the Center for Success, Replay Outreach, and the School District of Manatee County.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item is Employee of the Month. Eva? Thank you.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Chair.
I believe it's 19.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Bellamy, I believe you intended to pull item number 19 rather than 18?
Right.
Okay.
19,
So
not
number
18.
19 is being pulled for separate consideration.
For the advisory board?
Yes.
For the advisory board.
Right, for the advisory board. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
That's why you corrected it.
Oh, got it.
Because we had talked about it.
All right, Eva. Thank you.
Good morning, County Commissioners, County Administrator Courier, and County Attorney Palmer. Ava Eady, Neighborhood Services Department. As you can see, Deb has a big fan club, not just within our department. Deb De Leon started as our Employee of the Month in 1978 the first time. She left in 83, came back in 88. So as you can see, she's had a long history. She has over 35 years of service with our public service, and she started as an eligibility worker and eventually administered all the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act programs. She worked for many years as a case manager in aging and adult services, and then as a medical benefits specialist. She administered the Palmetto North Manatee County Enterprise Zone. She was the first neighborhood services coordinator in the Neighborhood Connections Division, and she's established a protocol for assisting the 2,500 neighborhoods within the county. She was instrumental in creating the first mapping of the neighborhoods, developed the Neighborhood Connections magazine, which now goes to over 66,000 people through Neighborhood Connections, and the Neighborhoods app. She works directly with neighborhoods such as Rivonia, Washington Gardens, Samoset, Whitfield, and Bayshore Gardens. She now administers a neighborhood enhancement grant program, supervised the neighborhood improvement program, neighborhood enhancement wellness strategy. She's fluent in Spanish, and she's a vital element to our neighborhood team. She actively coordinates other community agencies and organizations to assist neighborhoods to become a better place to live, work, and play. She commonly liaises not only with the community, but with the various departments to help coordinate and facilitate the noted neighborhood projects. Her dedication to work and improving neighborhoods in Manatee County is genuine and heartfelt. This is one of my most pleasing parts about Debbie. She's practiced at the art of listening. I don't know anybody who understands and works in the area of listening better than Deb De Leon. She actively listens. She doesn't take things personally. She actually takes the time to work with the people that have made the effort to bring their concerns and their issues to her or their comments to her. She responds each and every time, but she gives them that space they need to be heard. She really supports the success of others. In 2018, she received an ACE award to the standing ovation of her colleagues. We're all really proud to be in her world, and Simone Peterson is actually the one who nominated her, so I'd like you to just hear a little bit more from her.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Administrator, County Attorney. Simone Peterson, I was hired by Debbie in 2010, and I remember the one story that I can tell you about Deb De Leon is she said two things when she hired me. She's like, just get your 40 hours in and don't embarrass the county. That's all I require of you. So I ran with that. And Debbie, the one thing I really appreciate about Debbie is she lets her employees flourish. She lets us just, hey, if it benefits the county, if it benefits the community, go off and do it. We have a task. I defer to your judgment to figure out the best pathway to do that. And Debbie, I mean, she has cultivated a great team of people that we're coworkers, but when you spend 8+ hours with people, they become your family. And so I really appreciate everything that you do for me and for our whole department. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me.
Just one thing I want to note too. Good morning, guys. Debbie, working for Debbie, she is, as you work in the community, the face of the county. People that are in our community, when they think of the county, she's one of the people that they think of as far as her face. And that's not just the work that she does with the county, it's the work that she does in the community, even in her personal life. When Debbie's done working here, people in this community reach out to her. I see her working every day, not just here at the county and the work that she does, but to help people in the community, whether it's through healthcare, whether it's reaching out to them, people who need help in the community. It's impressive and it's inspiring, and it makes you wake up every day, and it makes you really proud to be working with her.
Now, will the real Debbie De Leon please come to the front?
That was cute.
Commissioners, County Attorney, County Administrator, Ava Edie, Neighborhood Services Director. Thank you for the privilege and for this beautiful recognition. Thank you for the privilege to serve the residents of Manatee County, because that is really what we do, all of us. I really need to start by thanking my husband and my family, because they are very supportive. My husband is also entrenched in the service to others. But really, I could not do this job, which I adore and I love working for Manatee County, if it wasn't for all the departments that work and the organizations that are here in Manatee County, starting with the County Administrator's Office, all the way to utilities. And even the County Attorney's Office, I've made very good friends. So thanks to that. But also the department that I live and work and love, Neighborhood Services, starting with Ava Edie, her administration, and also our fiscal department, our aging and adult, our health care, the veterans that we service, the children, probation, all the 6 libraries. And there's one individual who nags at me all the time and keeps me in compliance, and that is Elaine Mayfield. I really could not do this without her. They're really wonderful people to work with. And every day, you see these two individuals, I couldn't do my job. They are the backbone. That is Simone Peterson, Ogden Clark, Mary Camp, and Michaela Lindney Camp. We are a team, a very well-oiled machine, and I am very, very grateful for what they do to serve the residents of Manatee County. Besides my parents, who instilled the service, they really, really did, there is one other individual that I cannot leave here without saying. I've worked with this individual for 30 years, and they have instilled in me, and they have really taught me. And there are 3 things that this person taught me that I have always taken with me. One is to teach and lead by example. The other one is to value and respect our differences. And the third is that management has nothing to do with you. It all has to do with the people that you work. And I can truly tell you that the hardest person you have working for Manatee County is that county administrator that sits right there. For the honor and the privilege to serve Manatee County residents, thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you.
I have a couple of commissioners that would like to make some comments, Debbie. Commissioner Servia?
Yes, thank you, Debbie. Congratulations. I'm so proud to see you up there. And when I was reading the application, and all over the application it said, what a relationship builder you are. It's so true. I worked for Manatee County in the late 80s, and you were here. So I have known you for a long time, and you were always that person. If I ran into you, you had a smile and a kind word, always. And when I'm out in the community in the evening, no matter where I am, it seems you're always there. So you are working all day, and then you work into the night also. And a true leader always thanks the people around them, and that's what I just saw you do. And so we are so fortunate to have you. Thank you.
Commissioner Trace?
I was going to kind of say the same thing. I see you in my community a lot, so you're always busy, and I know that. And I just want to say thank you because you're making you and your team are making people's lives better. And I know as a commissioner up here, I thank y'all very much for all, not just Debbie, but, Debbie is kind of out there in the forefront, but I know that y'all work behind her, and y'all really are making a difference in the community. And I just want to say thank you for the work you do.
Commissioner Bellamy?
I almost got choked up there, Debbie. Just thinking about for the last maybe 8 to 10 years for some of the work that we have done in the community, your smile leads us, and it guides us. And your internal beauty also supports a lot of the things that are impacted in our community through neighborhood services and your efforts. And we just need to make sure that you are appreciated, and we're thanking you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Whitmore?
Well, of course, I had to thank you. I love working with you. Throughout the years, I remember the Rabonia. We met in the church, I think it was, and Sherry was there too, and I think, and you were, and we had the young'uns and the elders fighting. We named them the young'uns and the elders, and you brought that community together. You stayed, you kept going, and you built a trust with them. I remember the Talabas community. I've been around for a while, but I love Misty's comments. A true leader thanks those around you, and that is perfect because you are, and you are part of the fabric. You've been here since the 70s, so obviously you decided to stay and you didn't go into drop.
No, ma'am. I had an opportunity. It's from the womb to the tomb, cradle to grave.
Well, this is another Charlie Hunsaker. He did the same thing. It's like, oh my gosh. Well, we thank you for your service, and you've been a friend. I can always count on you. You always have kind words to say.
Thank you.
And you are a good person, a good soul. Is your husband here?
No, my husband had an 8:30 appointment,
Okay, all right.
and it would have made it a lot harder.
You've got your family behind you, and thank
Exactly.
you for everybody for coming to support her. She deserves it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can add to this. We've obviously said a lot, but your team is incredible.
Yes.
What you guys do, I remember when Neighborhood Services was first formed, I also worked at the county back in those days, and working in the planning department, I was always like, well, what are they gonna do? You know, what's Neighborhood Service? It's amazing what you guys do. Just reading the newsletter and seeing everything that's going on and your ability to be out there in the community. Deb, you're at everything. I agree with Misty. Every place I go, I see you. But, you know, we've got such a great thing going with Sherry. I imagine she is just losing it up here because I know how
She
important
is.
this group is to her and how proud she is of all of you and the work that you do. But we are so proud of you, too. So
Thank you
you
very
so
much.
much for what you do. You do make our jobs a whole heck of a lot easier. And for that, I say thank you. Thank you for what y'all do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ball.
There's nothing left for me to say. But, you know, I mean, Debbie, I agree with everything that all the commissioners have said up here, and you truly are a blessing, you and your team. Truthfully, I think that you and your team are really what the citizens of Manatee do see the most. And that's the image that they receive of Manatee County so often. You know, womb to the tomb. I'm sitting here going, okay. You know, I might have to follow your lead. We'll do it together. At any rate, you know what? Your smile was mentioned. And I can tell you that it is a lot. The smile adds so much. It puts people at ease. It makes people feel good. I can tell you that, you know, I know that you've been to several events out in my district, and you've been wonderful. And I have been so thankful that you guys have been there. And I just say thank you, congratulations,
Thank you.
and you can't ever leave. We'll go
They'll
together.
drag me out.
Bigger.
Thank
Thank you.
for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you,
to
Debbie. I
all.
just will add a little story from when I first got elected and had gotten a call for my first HOA meeting, and Debbie came out with me, and I obviously didn't have a clue what I was doing, and it didn't take her long to sit there and tap me on the shoulder and said, "Commissioner, I'll take over from here." And I was
The other
so
way around, but
I
that's
was so
okay.
thankful that she knew exactly how to answer all these different people's questions and knew where to get the answers, because I didn't have a clue. But you know, I'll always remember that, and thank you for all your years of service, and look forward to future years of working with you and the rest of the staff. And
Thank
you're
you.
so well-deserved honor, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I hope I can fill those shoes.
Oh, you already have.
No doubt.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's our 9:15 is.
Why not?
Before I leave.
I don't have it.
Me too, right?
Vanessa. Oh, I might take one with me to the.
Okay, the next item is our, I guess, 9:21 time certain. Angel, welcome, and we'll look forward to hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. I wanted to share with you, as you know, we have the Carnegie Library, which is our historic records library. And as this has been a work in progress for me, and I actually got the idea while we were putting together our popular report this year. And if you recall, it was about women in Manatee County. And I had to choose only a certain amount, and it was so hard to do. So as I was doing this, I want to make our historic records library, it already is, a genealogy type of facility with the information. I want to make it the genealogical centerpiece for the county. This fall, we don't have a date yet, but this fall we are going to have a genealogy day there. And I don't think people realize we actually have staff in there. As I was telling my mom very enthusiastically about my idea, she said, well, what do you do now there? Do you just have boxes stored in there? And I said, no. We have over 100,000 records pertaining to this county. I thought, what could I do? I'm focusing on education. What I would like to do is make it eventually a place where children can come, and I don't know, for someone else will have to decide the age group, but eventually I'd like to work and have a summer camp type program for children. But as I went through all of this, and I went over there and looked at pictures, I realized we need to be more inclusive of what we have in this library. If I open it up to students, I want, for example, Black students in Manatee County to see the history. I learned so much about history working on this project this time around. I want people to know about Jeff Bolding, who has a fascinating background and story. And he was actually, when he passed away in Manatee County, it was the largest funeral procession. There were white citizens, Black citizens marching in his procession. He brought Black education to Manatee County. I want to tell his story in the county, for example, in that library. He's a part of this community that dates way back into the late 1800s. And June Adams, he was the first Black landowner in Manatee County. I want to tell that story as well to students, as well as our first registered nurse, as well as that was Viola Welch. Florine Abel was the first head of the Gulf Coast, first Black head of the Gulf Coast Girl Scouts, things like that. I want to be inclusive. And as far as the Hispanic community goes, we have the Cuban rancheros out at our Cortez village that we highlight at the museum, but we can put information as well in this facility. But I took it one step further too. I envision having maybe 3 computers available. We're researching the best website to have ancestry available, an ancestry web search. I don't want to promote one particular one over another, but I want to have one available for citizens to come in and do that research, so they don't necessarily have to buy a subscription of their own just to do the maybe a little bit of research, what they want. I want students to know how to use that as well. And then I got thinking more, and the last layer of it is we know about the internship program that the county does. We talked about bringing this into our own office, and I asked our director, Kathy Slusser of Historical Resources, what could we do having actors as interns and having maybe an intern write scripts and help us stage this, and maybe the first day of this summer camp or whatever, bring these characters to life, these people who lived here to life for children, so that they can get just an excitement about them, about doing research, get them excited about their local history. We hear so much about keeping people here and kids here when they grow up and opportunities. What better way than showing them when they go drive down the road, seeing, hey, that's where June Adams owned land, or that's where Josiah Gates was. All of these people from our past. I want to bring that to life for children. Just so you know, that's where I'm headed with this and what I want to do with that. It's an undertaking, but the kickoff day will be in the fall. I'd like to just at least get that going for genealogy, but I want people to know it's there. Come in and look at the pictures. We have people coming in and out of there all the time for a variety of reasons, and I won't take up your time, but there are so many people, more than you'd realize, who come in there. We've got the Sanborn fire insurance maps that tell so much. They tell about urban growth and decline patterns and the evolution of specific site districts. And genealogists use them to locate residences and workplace of ancestors. It's really exciting if you go in there and dig and look. And I just would like people, we have so many people going to our other parks. I just want people to realize we have another facility like that here. And also, I would like to add that last Thursday night, I did read in Tempo News that the Heritage House is doing something along the similar lines, teaching students to be ambassadors at their museum at SCF. And we did reach out on Friday. I didn't realize they were closed on Fridays and Mondays, but we did reach out, and I am looking forward to talking to them about this. I was excited to see that we are in the same direction with children, doing something a little different, but maybe we could collaborate and share ideas. So I look forward to that. And I just wanted to let you all know in the coming months that this is where we're headed and what we're working on.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Angel. I have a couple commissioners on the board. Commissioner Servia?
Yes, thank you, Angel, for being here. And what a wonderful idea. And you have such a huge, important role in our community that deals with numbers and dollars. And it amazes me that you also expand your role to preserve our heritage and our history. You work so hard on that, what you've done in Cortez and now your idea here. So I'm really thankful for that. I think it's a great opportunity. I think genealogy is, I can't wait until someday I have time to do that research myself. And I appreciate your inclusivity. I really appreciate that in showing what this community really has been throughout history.
Could I add something to that,
Yes,
Commissioner?
please.
I did let Keenan, I know Keenan Wooten, and I did ask him to, I told him, I walked him over there and I was all excited, and I told him my plans, and he's agreed to help me with our first exhibit. We're going to make it about the Buffalo Soldiers and the Black Cavalry of World War II, so Keenan's offered to assist me in this.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ball?
Yeah, Angel, you know, I can't help but think a couple of years ago, when you and I both were kind of going through our ancestry, and it was enlightening. I remember us having that conversation. It was very enlightening to me and to you, and I loved hearing that you're doing this because a lot of people that live here in our county don't really know the background of the county. They think they do, but they really don't. And so it's so interesting, and I'm so happy that you're going to be doing this because it will be an educational item for our children. History is something that we really need to hold on to, the bad and the good. And, you know, it's wonderful that you're going to be trying to do this. I know you'll be successful, and anything that I can do to help, please let me know.
Thank you. The pictures are fascinating. If people just go look at pictures, old pictures of the county.
Yeah.
Commissioner Benak?
Yeah, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to talk a little bit about this beforehand, because I have to admit, I'm one of those people who thought it was just boxes. And, you know, people went over there to do research. So I do look forward to this, and I think it's a great idea to get kids involved and to understand their history. And I'm so glad that you inherited the passion that your predecessor, Chips, had for history, because we don't have unlike some other, I know Sarasota has always had somebody in that position, we don't really have anyone, and the clerk's office has taken that over. And I know Kathy has done an amazing, amazing job for the county with historical research, and I look forward to reading all of her books when I have time. You know, I don't know if you know, but many of us pass around books up here of history, things that go on. Misty just gave me an interesting one. Some of them are not easy reads. I know Kathy's are. So I want to thank you, both of you, for everything that you're doing for our historical resources. It's so important, and that's one of the things that I do think makes Manatee County unique, is we do have a very rich history, and people want to understand it moving forward. So just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Angel.
Thank
We'll
you.
look forward to
Angel.
continued updates on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you at the port.
Next item is another time certain, Charlie Hunsinger.
Thank you, Commissioners, County Attorney, County Administrator. Charlie Hunsiker, Director, Parks and Natural Resources Department. I'm here to request your review and approval of letters of support to U.S. Senator Marco Rubio and our Commission Representative Vern Buchanan, Congressional Representative Vern Buchanan, to support the establishment of legislation that creates the Commission on the Social Status of Black Men and Boys. So in this atmosphere of tragedy and confusion and in hope comes this legislation, among other efforts, to identify and work with our very human nature to address barriers to success for all people and to promote the opportunity for continuous improvement and opportunity for success. This legislation is bipartisan. It's sponsored in the Senate by both Republicans and Democrats. And there is a counterpart to this legislative initiative in the House of Representatives. And our letters today thank Senator Rubio for the sponsorship of the legislation, encourage Senator Rick Scott to join on as co-sponsor, and also encourage Representative Vern Buchanan to co-sponsor the House version. And it speaks for itself. It speaks for attainment, improvement, and opportunity. And we don't often comment on national legislation here from the podium or from the dais, but in this time it's very appropriate, and I think it's a very proper thing to do. And our staff recommendation is to move forward with the letters of support.
Thank you, Charlie. Commissioner Servia.
Yeah, Charlie, I just want to thank you very much for putting this together because, you know, we all watch the news and we all feel the pain and the suffering at a national level, and we're also focused on the local government here. But this really is a bright light, and I really appreciate this bipartisan effort to speak to our national legislators. Thank you.
Commissioner Bellamy.
The Social Status of Black Men and Boys Act, obviously it's on maybe two of us in here. This is my life, and there's a need. I work with 2 male mentoring programs to talk to them about character development, academics, and life after school choices. There's obviously a need out there. I'm thankful for everyone, but this just can't be a talk.
Right.
This just cannot be a talk. And the challenge is the work that's needed in the trenches. And through mentoring programs, through the different programs that the county offer in neighborhood services, there's a cry from the community and all communities across this country from African American males. And if this is an attempt to answer, I'm on board. But if this is an attempt for a political stunt for everybody's attention, you will hear from me later on that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we can do this right here, but there's a lot of trench work that's needed in order to impact African Americans' males' life. And we need to do it, and we need to not only just talk it, but we need to walk it. We'll see more to come.
Okay. Commissioner Ball.
Yeah, and Reggie, I would hope that you would be the one to make the motion to approve this.
I will, this time.
And it will be my honor to deliver our letter to Senator Rubio. I'm getting ready to meet him at the court.
Terminology for the motion.
And then on Wednesday, I will also deliver the letter to Vern Buchanan. So, Reggie, I know you and I can't have a conversation unless we're in the meeting because of sunshine, but I would really like as much information as you can give me on what, kind of how you're moving forward and what you want to see done and how. Because this is, I can tell you, and you and I have had this conversation where I come from, this wasn't an issue, and it's not today an issue where I come from. So I'm a little bit befuddled by it, really, with what I've seen here. So, anything that you can, give me to help, further this endeavor, I'd love to be involved. A political issue, I can't imagine that anyone would use this as a political issue. Although sometimes I'm amazed. It seems like, the lies that get told are just amazing. But at any rate, it's an honor for me to be able to deliver these. I just wanted you to know that, sir. And when you make the motion, I'd be happy to second it. Thank you.
Commissioner Bellamy.
I'd like to make the motion that we move forward with these letters for the Commission of the Social Status of Black Men and Boys Act.
Second.
Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear Commissioner Bellamy's comments because I honestly had kind of the same thoughts, honestly. A commission, great.
Why didn't they do that?
Great. Status, great.
Right.
But what I think is important, and I agree, we need to look for this, investigate potential civil rights violations affecting black males and study the disparities experienced. I'm going to disagree with my friend Commissioner Ball. That happens all over this country.
Mm-hmm.
There is no community that I have seen that can say that doesn't happen in my community. So I look forward to data that will be hopefully researched documented, and then, like you said, something's got to be done about it. So I look forward to seeing how this does get implemented. But it, you know, I'm sure there's been many commissions on social status, but we've got to look at things in context of what's happening now. You know, not just always look at history, but what's happening now. So obviously I'm going to support this, but I do welcome the comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Well, now that you're saying that, I mean, I read this and I was kind of like, really? Why didn't they do this like 10 years ago? But anyway, I'm glad we're doing something now. But I have to tell a story because I've heard that it's not around. My husband's watching this, so he doesn't know. I didn't even think about bringing it up. But a few years back, maybe 6 years ago before, he retired 5 years ago, he had a patient, a woman, a black woman at Manatee Hospital that had a bad disease and she couldn't walk or anything. She developed all these issues and he had to do major surgery on her, and so she was bedridden. So she went home and she lives right on the other side of Manatee Hospital in the neighborhood to the right where that 7-Eleven used to be, that they have bars. Okay, so that's where she lives. So the doctors wanted to discharge her, tried to get her home health. Nobody would go in the neighborhood because they said it was rough. So here she was, she needed to be turned, she needed to have her beds changed, and nobody would go. And my husband went there every week with the husband and met the husband to change her bed and turn her and check her wounds and do whatever they had to. And I went with him a couple times. Nobody would go in the neighborhood. So, you know, I mean, this does happen. This is an actual fact. And she actually passed away. And we went to the funeral over, and the family came up and thanked my husband for it. It's the first time I ever saw my husband cry. And he said she died because she was black, because she didn't get what she needed. And that's how he felt. My husband is not prejudiced. So, you know, it does happen here. Right. And so if this is something that's going to be good, great. We should also be looking at issues that we have locally, too. So, you know, I'm proud if these guys are going to do something and really do something. And I also think we need to look locally, too, because this actually happened. So I just, you know, that just hit me when you were saying this and about that maybe it doesn't happen. It does happen. So that's it. So let's hope let's make this a positive thing. Let's hope, I'd like to somehow, if we could ask our lobbyists to stay on top of this, so maybe she could just let us know what's going on with this commission and just once in a while give us an update.
That's right.
To see if there's any progress, if we're going to vote for this. Thank you.
That's why we're bringing the letter forward.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. At this point, we're going to open it up to public comment. If there's anybody from the public that would like to come down. Yes, sir. Please come down, state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Larry Grossman. After a meeting at Lingo Lodge to discuss the possible acquisition of the Mayera property for a county park.
This is
just about this, Larry.
This is just about this
Oh, for this?
proclamation.
Letter. We'll let you know.
We'll
We
let
know
you
what
know.
you're talking-
I thought this was citizen comments.
No. It's just on this
On the,
item 39.
well, can I have my time back?
Maybe.
Yeah, you will.
You want to say it and go?
Okay.
We have one.
Mr. Tibbetts.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Gary Tibbetts, Special Assistant to the Congressman and Field Rep to Manatee County. It's my pleasure to receive a copy of this letter that I will make sure that gets to our office in D.C. And I know Commissioner Baugh will make sure that the Congressman gets one personally. Just looking up the bill right now, it's in committee. It's been introduced. It's in committee. It's in the judiciary and for civil rights inspection right now. And so I just wanted to let you know that it is already in the committee, and we can take it from there.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward? Seeing nobody, we'll close public comment. We have a motion by Commissioner Bellamy, seconded by Commissioner Baugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. Did you already sign it? Sign it. Did you already sign it? She's
Yes, I'll be signing. I anticipated the. Okay. Next one, we've got a few minutes here, so I think what we'll do now is open this up for public comments on future agenda items. I have two people signed up. First one is Cynthia Kahn. Please come down, you'll have 3 minutes.
Cynthia Kahn. Well, guess why I'm here?
Animals.
Got it, got it. I'm here to say that there's only one way to make millions of dollars by selling sick and dying puppies. That is by cheating the customer. I think attorneys call it fraud. I will be submitting to you corroborating customer-signed sale documents from Bradenton Petland. I personally met with the undersigned family. They live off Lockwood Ridge, and they've spent over $4,000 with 3 vets for a dog that will be on medication for life. So let's look at Bradenton Petland and what they've been doing for years. The customer is required to sign a contract called a warranty that is in direct conflict with Florida pet law. So the buyer signs a contract that is only in Petland's interest. Customers are totally unaware. The 3 most egregious and easy to comprehend examples of fraud in this document. The warranty states, contract is void unless a vet examines the puppy within 2 days. And Petland's own vet, who originally deemed the dog healthy in the first place, must concur with any diagnosis. The truth is, Florida pet law states the consumer has 14 days to document disease and may go to any vet. The second example, the Bradenton Petland contract states they will only offer to exchange the puppy. In bold print, no cash refunds. However, Florida pet law gives the consumer 3 different options. Return the animal, refund purchase price. Exchange the animal, keep the animal. But in all 3 options, the retailer must pay the vet bills. The third example of the fraudulent contract states, Petland will not cover emergency veterinary fees, but Florida law explicitly does include reimbursement related to emergency costs. So Commissioners, this is only 180 seconds of the many conflicts between Florida law and this business and what this business has been getting away with for years. There is no way to keep this type of business in check. Petland Bradenton circumvented existing laws for years and would continue to do so with any new regulations. The county has neither the time nor the resources to monitor them. It is simply time to stop the retail selling of puppies and the accompanying deceit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have, we have a copy of your speech, just give it to the clerk and I'll get a
Oh,
copy.
actually, I have copies for everyone
Oh, okay.
Okay.
with the contract.
Yeah.
Next person is Mr. Mathis. Or is that right, Mathis or Matthews?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here for this same purpose as Cynthia. My name is Russell Mathis. I am a board member of Sarasota in Defense of Animals and a business owner in Sarasota County and Manatee County. I've worked with Karen Ankerstar and Elise Mathis on limiting the sale of commercially bred dogs and cats. Several years ago, we were able to help create and adopt an ordinance eliminating the retail sale of dogs and cats in Sarasota County. I'm requesting that the Manatee Board of County Commissioners revise its ordinance and/or add new sections to the current code to prohibit the sale of commercially bred dogs and cats in pet stores, retail businesses, or other commercial establishments in Manatee County. Local and national data indicates that the sale of commercially bred dogs and cats contributes to the proliferation of homeless or unwanted animals that end up in our animal shelters. By eliminating the import of animals from puppy mills and kitty factories, we can lead the way to a real no-kill county. There are plenty of model ordinances that are working locally and nationally, including Sarasota County, our neighbor, and we would be happy to work directly with county staff here in Manatee to help draft a proposal for your review and ultimately your approval. Responsible breeders do not sell animals over the internet or through pet stores. They insist on meeting the family who will be purchasing the animal. Most members of all these groups take the pledge with a United Kennel Club agreement of code and ethics. Puppy mills and kitten factories do not do this. Large successful retail companies such as Petco, PetSmart, and 900 independent pet shops have voluntarily signed the HSUS pledge not to sell puppies at their stores, and they're doing great. Commissioners, please help stop the horrific and inhumane trafficking of unhealthy dogs and cats into Manatee County that ultimately costs its taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars annually. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Larry Grossman. This is on a future agenda item.
Yes, I'm sorry about the premature appearance before you. So I'll start again. This has to do with the preserve for Braden Woods. Larry Grossman. After meeting at Linger Lodge to discuss the possible acquisition of the Mayara property for a county park, I approached Commissioner Baugh, you're not here, with a request that if acquired for a county park, the property, including the Bergstresser property, be rezoned from residential PD-R to conservation. Now that the county owns the property in question, which will be used for a county park, I ask that the county commission put on the docket consideration of an amendment to the zoning map and the long-range land use plan to redesignate the properties, including the Bergstresser property, to conservation, to make sure that the intent of the county is expressed in the long-range land use plan and the zoning. Because what you have now is residential designations for these properties, and that's not consistent with what you're doing.
Good point.
So, being a planner who's redone the comprehensive plans and zoning for the jurisdiction I work for, I'm kind of a stickler. We got two planners on the commission, so I think they very well understand the importance of this, and I don't think I need to push it anymore. I just hope that this can be done without controversy or any issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Grossman. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward at this time to discuss a future agenda item? Seeing nobody come forward, we will close citizens' comments on future agenda items.
Mr. Chair, very briefly, with regard to Mr. Grossman's commentary, Commissioner Ball did quiz me a little bit yesterday about the restrictions related to that property, and what's being proposed here apparently is a county-initiated rezone. But in any event, we're looking at the contract documents now just to reconfirm that the property is restricted to being used for passive park purposes, and that there's a conservation easement impressed upon the property in perpetuity. So I told Commissioner Ball that we would take a quick look at those documents and get back with her, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Charlie to come up and address this. I agree. We've done this in other areas of the county when we acquired land. We've rezoned them to conservation.
Wrong Charlie.
So, wrong Charlie.
Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, Charlie K.
Thank you, but no.
That was funny.
Oh, no.
That was funny.
Okay, well, in novelty shops, they have that button. That was easy, and I could press that. You're right. And there, as county attorney has pointed out, there is a conservation easement in favor of the Conservation Foundation of Southwest Florida. And we're going to honor that and catch up with the process and initiate the county-initiated rezone without difficulty.
Thank you. That's what I thought. So we're all good. We're going to be doing a county-initiated rezone. Whether or not it'll be controversial, we can't say, but I will tell you almost every rezone we see up here is controversial in some way or another, so.
Not that, though.
Who knows? Hopefully not.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Just real quick, for those, I think just left, but the people that are coming up regarding the pets, the sale retail, we are having a work session October 31st, and the public's invited, and they can make their comments then. And I don't have her name or her number, but if somehow I could get her name, maybe I could find it, and I will send her, let her know that she doesn't, if she can keep coming if she wants, but we do have a time certain. Sherry wanted?
If we get the comment card, we can let her know.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could comment on that?
Yes.
So, yeah, we've heard numerous times about this contract or warranty that Petland presents. I don't know what our role in this is. I understand, and we've been told repeatedly that they violate state law. We don't enforce state law in this regard, but I understand their point. They're saying, they're warranting these dogs differently and it's a problem. I get that, but I'm not sure if we need our attorneys to look into this issue and be prepared. It just is unclear to me when we have folks accusing them of fraud and violating state law, what is our role there? So I would like you to be prepared perhaps by the October 31st meeting to answer that question, if the consent of the board. Do I have to make a motion to that?
No.
I can answer the question very quickly. County governments do not involve themselves in enforcing consumer rights statutes. That's the purview of the state attorney general. If we're going to get in the business of enforcing consumer rights statutes, we're going to have to expand my staff dramatically. Again, I'm not trying to be flippant. I'm being quite serious.
Okay. And again, I get her point that this doesn't protect the consumer. That is her point. I can understand that. But reading a contract and trying to compare it to state law, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just saying. Thank you.
Commissioner Whitmore?
Just real quick, after she was done talking, I actually sent her comments to Ann Morris, the attorney, and told Ann that I also had a copy of the contract. You're absolutely right. This is a private deal. People in the public could do something if they would like to regarding Petland, but I don't think we should be involved. But she's trying to get all her information together, so I'm giving her everything that I've gotten given to be able to know what we're being told, et cetera. But I agree with our attorney that this is not something we should be involved with, but they can do something privately with a private business if they're doing something against state law.
Okay. Now 9:55. We have a 10 o'clock time certain, I believe. And I suspect, looking at the audience, that we have several that plan on talking about the consent agenda items that are out there. So I think at this point, we'll just take a 5-minute recess till we get to the 10 o'clock time certain, so that we can then, so we don't disrupt the consent.
Can we just approve consent agenda?
Yeah, could we approve it with, we've already had,
One.
I know that Children's Services has already been polled. I know we have folks here to talk about items that are on the Children's Services.
Right.
I believe we also have folks here, and I'll go ahead and pull it now for discussion. I believe we have people to talk, maybe not, maybe Charlie can tell me about the seagrass mitigation site agreement. No, they're just here in interest?
Yes.
Okay, I will not pull that then. Perhaps you could just open it up so we could see what the public's here for, and then approve the rest of the consent agenda of things.
Well, how about if we just get a show of hands of how many people plan on speaking about consent items?
Minus 19.
Okay, you got that
Minus
answer.
19.
Minus 19, I mean.
Okay, so let's go
Okay,
forward.
well, in that case, we'll open up citizens' comment for consent item agenda only, minus number 19. If there's anybody from the public that would like to come forward, please state your name. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing nobody come forward, we'll close public comment.
I move we accept the consent agenda minus 19.
Second.
Can I have a discussion just for clarity purposes on my side? The numbers in 19, as far as the areas that I identified, the other parts we can move forward on. Am I correct?
No, we
Well,
have to pull the
I think
whole
if
thing.
Well,
We have
that's
to
not
pull
what
the whole thing.
the communication that I had
I
yesterday.
think you can make that motion when you discuss the item.
Right. The entirety of item 19 has been removed
Right.
for separate discussion by the board. and then we will dissect that
Yeah, you
as we get into item number 19.
Okay.
We'll dissect it further.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, Commissioner Whitmore?
No, you didn't take me off.
Okay. And Commissioner Bellamy?
Officer.
Okay. So we have opened it up for public comment. We have a motion by Commissioner Trace, second by Commissioner Benak to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, consent agenda approved 6-0. I'm sorry, Vanessa is not here. So at this point, we're
I think we
almost
can
at
get-
10 o'clock.
I think we can get through the healthcare advisory.
Which number is that? Oh, number 35?
Okay, let's go to 35. Healthcare Advisory Board.
I'd like to make a
Thank you,
motion
Tom.
for Lisa McBoy to serve on the healthcare. She's a hospice nurse, and I think she would be a good asset to the board. She's
I'll second
practicing.
that.
I move nominations closed.
Second.
Okay. Catch up here now. That was with.
So we don't
was
have to
Whitman-
vote.
Whitman-
We have to vote.
I know that, but I'm just,
I second the
Motion.
motion to close
Seconded
the
the
nominations.
right. Okay.
Good job, Josh. Thank you. Nice seeing ya.
So now we need to open this up for public comment. Anybody?
I think we do, we don't do
Don't-
advisory
no,
boards.
Not supervisory.
Okay, then we've got a motion second, and we got the nominations closed. All those in favor of Lisa Libson, is that right?
Yep.
Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Lisa has the job, 6-0.
Good luck.
She's here.
Is she? No,
No.
I'll be working.
Okay. Now bouncing all over the place here, trying to kill time till 10 o'clock. We have 1 minute. Anybody want to talk about the weather coming in, or?
Hopefully, we don't have to talk about the weather coming in. It's all good, right? A lot of rain.
Well, point of order, do we actually need to vote on her, or did we need to vote on the nomination to cease,
Already
close
voted on her.
nominations?
That's what you voted on, was to close nominations, and then since she was the only.
She's automatic.
I get that, but he actually said we're voting for Lisa, not close nominations, just point of order, just because we're killing 30 more seconds. Okay,
We're good.
well, I tried.
Nice to see
That
you.
was
Yeah.
15 seconds.
15. Okay.
Been watching
Josh,
school board
leave.
meeting.
Okay, we're
Josh
gonna,
can leave.
we're gonna go ahead and start the 10 o'clock one, because by my watch, it's 10 o'clock, so
I
we'll go by my official time. So,
That's not.
I guess, Jan,
Good
thank
morning,
you for coming.
Commissioners. I appreciate it. To set the stage for this, this has to do with the bond issuance that we're going to have this year. We also have Michael Johnston from Prague, who is our financial advisor. Wendell had a death in the family, so he has been kind enough to come, and if we have any questions. We thought we'd do just a real brief PowerPoint. I thought about it this morning just to set the stage so you have a clarity of what we're doing. So if you go ahead, Haley. The 44th Avenue project. Actually, the top are the revenues, the bottom are the expenses, and where we're looking is in the second column at the bottom. You have 2 more phases that need to be issued in order to complete this project. You have $50,210,000 that will go for the 45th to 44th phase, and that will be in FY20 next year. And then the last phase, right now, it's $20 million, and it's been postponed a little bit and set out due to timing. So that $20 million phase will happen in FY24. The $20 million at this time in '24, we're hoping for impact fees will cover it. If not, I'll be back with debt. But that's 4 years away. It's a long time. So where we're focusing is the $50 million that will occur in FY20. So if you'll flip to the next, Haley. So the $50 million project, we have graciously received from the state of Florida the grant for $10 million. We currently had planned on borrowing the rest, but since this second project has moved out, we currently have $20 million in impact fees that we can go ahead and pay down on this project with cash, so the debt issuance becomes $20 million. So if we go to the next one. So with this, at the top of the screen where it says Series A, there is the $20 million that we need to borrow and the replacement of the credit line, and that gives you $56 million. The financial advisors went, as we always do, and they review all outstanding bonds and see if there's any opportunities to refinance them at a lower rate and save money. And there's 2 opportunities. You have a 2014 bond, and actually it's a 2015 13 note, but the total savings between the two will be about $1 million. So we will issue that extra 10.9, and then the savings over time will give you the $1 million. So roughly, it's 66.9 in principal, and we're looking with issuance costs right now, it's at 67.2, with a not to exceed of 70 million once they get in the market. Now, what I'm here to ask you for today is that earlier in the summer, you allowed your financial advisor to do some RFPs to see if we can get an underwriting team. They had 14 sent out that they requested. They received 8, and from that, we settled on with the clerk as well. Raymond James is the senior manager, also the Bank of America, and FTN Financial Capital Markets. That would be your underwriting team. So today, what we're here to ask you for is to authorize the negotiations to begin with the financing team I just mentioned for the 2019 A and B series. And then there's a second motion to authorize county staff to place a conditional posting of the proposed financing on Emma prior to the release of the POS. And I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Commissioner Whitmore?
Just basic questions. I know we have people in the public here that probably haven't heard this before. Tell me what I mean, we have to have this money in the bank when we proceed, and that's probably where trying to get this line of credit so that we can do this loan. What about the bridge over the river and the interstate? Is that included in these monies?
No.
I didn't think so.
You mean for 44th Avenue?
Yes.
Chad can come down and
As
he
he's
can give
coming
you the
down,
specifics of it.
Coming down, this project has been going on way before I was here, maybe since the 80s or 90s. And we're at a point now of no return. I mean, we have to continue going because we've spent millions and millions. But also, let us know about the monies, but also what's the status? I think we've got the permits to go over the river. I don't know about the interstate. Haven't gotten an update lately, so that would be interesting to know.
Jan talks in funding, I talk in terms of what we're putting together for bid packages. The bid package that will take us from 45th over the Braden River, and traditionally in your CIP called it ending at 44th Plaza East. We're trying to package a tiny piece of the next phase with it because it'll get us all the way to Creekwood, but before you go over the interstate. So the bid that our schedule is to award this December will be across the Braden River and essentially get us all the way to Creekwood. So you would have a new connection to 44th from Caruso and also at Creekwood. The issues of getting across the interstate, basically the lands that are just east of the interstate that we've owned for a long time, are entangled in a mess of environmental easements, and it will just take time to get through that. And that's the main delay on that segment of the project. But
So we don't know how much it's going to cost to go over the river yet, and then the interstate's another deal.
we're at 100% plans on, and
Over
that's
the river.
covered within
No, I
the
meant
fund.
the cost over the bridge over the river.
I'll give you an updated memo
Okay.
that has that current cost estimate, but
Okay.
it is a known cost, and the funds are in place
And we have the permit.
the funding plan is in place
Yeah.
to award the contract as early as December.
And we did get the permit from the Coast Guard. Who did we get it from?
Correct. Coast
Miami?
Guard.
Okay. And, okay, thank you. And the clerk of the court is on board to explain again to the public their role in all of this.
Right. This is going to be a negotiated sale. You either have negotiated or competitive. Historically, we've done negotiated. We did do competitive the last issuance we did. We worked with Dan Wilson as the finance director for the clerk of the court, and we worked as a team to be in agreement with the pick of these RFP once the financial advisor went out and he got 8 responses. We worked with the clerk's office to say these are the 3 we are in agreement with.
And to be clear, the clerk of the court is the one that oversees our investments, our monies, et cetera, just again for the public so they know that
Correct.
we're just not shooting off the hip.
No, correct.
Thank you.
That is correct.
Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, I'm glad you put this slide back up because I think this answers Commissioner Whitmore's question, I think.
Where?
Right? The 44th Avenue Plaza East to Lakewood Ranch East, isn't that the cost, remaining cost to finish project? Isn't
Yes.
that what we were
Yes.
just talking
Yes.
about?
20 million?
So Chad doesn't need to bring that back? It's right here.
Commissioners, it will be in your CIP IST discussion on August 15th. We spend that afternoon going through the entire CIP and IST, but this is the information that you're seeing that is already in the plan that you'll have access to again.
So the project, the costs are generally what we know today,
Yes.
known. We never know what could happen to costs. We all know that they change depending on the market. But this does lay out the cost to finish the project. That's what's in front of us.
Yes, that's true.
All the way through.
Yes.
Over the interstate, we know what the bridge is gonna cost.
Yes.
So that's 20 million,
That is the current cost, and it is in your capital improvement plan.
including the Bradenton River one too?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it just doesn't say it clearly when I looked at it. I mean, yeah, if you sit here and have 20 minutes, this just got presented to us to figure it out, yeah. So I was just asking while staff's here.
Okay, well, that's why I thought since the answer was here, and poor Chad, he didn't know, so I wanted to help him out that the answer is here. I do have a question. This may be an unfair question. And it's for Chad, I think. I know Jan's not gonna know the answer. So the state gave, I hope that's just coffee. You took a big slug when I said I got an unfair question. The state gave us $10 million, and I had a conversation with LK about that. And I know that trying to think of an acronym, the state funding plan just came out, what they've got in the fund. Did they take that $10 million out of another project? That was kind of a threat that we received, that they might do that. Had you had a chance to look at that? Do you know? I know it just came out. I can tell you, I haven't looked at it altogether, and I'd have to try to figure that out. You know what I'm talking about? And I know you're not necessarily
We haven't noticed it yet. It's an open discussion that we're having with
Yes.
FDOT.
Okay.
Because there is definitely two opinions of exactly how that happened. But the fact that we're getting funds is clear.
Yeah, okay. I get it.
How the details work in that, we're still
We have
working
asked
with
the question
District
as
One.
recently as this week, if we can receive something in writing to clarify where that money's coming from and
clarify
going
if there's
to.
any requirements to receive it and, because it appears
I
to
think
be
that's an
slightly different.
important thing to note. This happens to us on a regular basis, that when we ask for something from the state and when it's put in the budget and even when the governor signs it, it doesn't mean it's money from somewhere else. It could mean that it's money from another project. So we need to always, we're working with Nick now, get clarification on how the money would come to us, where it's coming from, and is it being taken from another project?
Well, and so relative to this debt issuance, we have that $10 million included as being a given.
Correct.
Just saying, and I know this is 44th, directed to 44th Avenue only, but if it affects another project, there could be dominoes, so.
Correct.
Just want everyone to be aware of that.
Really?
Because what's in our CIP. And, you know, I just want to, DOT's been a great partner working with us, and I know that they juggle funds. I mean, look, they just juggled funds and found them so they could
Yes.
upfront the roundabout.
The Greyhawk roundabout.
Greyhawk roundabout. So I'm not, and I understand their concern when, you know, special allocations come without going through their process. I get it. I've been lectured by at least 2 DOT secretaries about working that way. But at this point, we're good. We're going to issue this debt. We're going to be able to cover the costs of 44th, and we might have to adjust something else. We just don't know for sure.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Just to put you a little bit at ease, I mean, the adjustment, if you will, would be on the state work program side. It wouldn't be on the county side.
Yeah, but,
That's true. That's true. Hopefully.
yeah.
Commissioner Trace.
I move to authorize financial advisors to begin negotiations with a financing team to accomplish the issuance of the Revenue Refunding and Improvement Bond Series 2019 A and B.
Second.
Okay.
And there's a second part to the
Reggie.
motion?
Reggie.
I'm sorry, I was,
First
second.
action requested, we'll open that up for public comment. Is there anybody from the public that would like to discuss our refunding? Seeing nobody from the public come forward, we have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Bellamy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 6-0. The next one.
authorize the county staff to place a conditional posting of the proposed financing on Emma prior to the release of the preliminary official statement.
Second.
Okay, we will also now open that up for public comment. Anybody from the public that would like to come down and discuss that item? Seeing nobody from the public, we'll close public comment. We have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Bellamy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you,
Great work,
Commissioners.
Jan. Thank you.
Good job.
Good luck. Rates keep going down.
Good job, Chad.
Pretty soon they're going to pay us to borrow money.
Doubt that, but.
I'll be on board with that.
Okay, we got through the consent. So I guess now we can open it up for public comment on
Future agenda.
consent items. Is that right? Is that where we're at?
Can't do that till
No, we're going to
11:30.
open up, we got to open up.
Do that till 11:30.
Yeah, we have to
Okay,
just
so
keep
we-
going down the list and come back to consent
List, yeah.
to 11:30, so.
Okay, so where are we?
Brownfield? maybe?
Brownfield, I think.
Number 36?
36, Brownfield. Not sure who's,
Jerry.
I think.
oh, Jerry, of course.
And her assistant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jerry Lopez, Director of Redevelopment and Economic Opportunity. Excuse me. The item before you today is, and this is going to be just the first hearing of two public hearings. As you all know, the Redevelopment and Economic Opportunity Department is the department that administers our Brownfields program. And per state statute, there is a very specific guidelines on the process for designation of a site as a brownfield, and this has been requested by the owner. The site is for 3505 53rd Avenue East in Bradenton, to be listed as a green reuse area, and this would be pursuant to our Florida Brownfields Redevelopment Act. And this site is on State Road 70, just adjacent to John H. Marble Park. This is a site that you've all seen before. It is proposed for 96 units of affordable housing. The process, the site is going through the final site plan process. So as part of the application process, we have reviewed and looked through all of the materials and have designated that it does meet all the definitions according to the Florida statute. And the attorney for the developer is here, should you have any questions. And with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions. There's no specific action for today. You will be looking at this again as the second public hearing on August 20th, in which you will adopt a resolution.
Okay, Commissioner Trace.
Oh, I'm off.
Oh, Commissioner Benak.
I just want to say I appreciate the developer taking this action to clean up the site, jumping through the hoops. We all know it's not easy to get this designation. They look like they've hired very capable legal counsel to take this on. This is a win-win for the county, so I'm going to go ahead and make the motion.
We can't.
or the-
I don't
Oh,
think we-
no motion necessary, but
Next time.
and also, I appreciate you meeting with the neighborhood and clearing up any questions they might have about what's going on. We know that some folks were not happy in the neighborhood when this, affordable housing project came up. That always happens, but taking the initiative to jump through these significant hoops to get the funding to clean it up and to take that on, this commissioner appreciates that action. So.
Okay, I don't see anybody else. Thank you. We'll look forward to the second public hearing. We will open it up for, I guess, public comment at this point. If anybody has any comments about the brownfield designation, please come forward. Seeing nobody, we'll close public comment. All right. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
The next item is confirmation of the Human Resources Department Director, Sherry, I believe.
Oh, they're there. I was wondering where everybody was. Where's Kim? Oh, there she is. I didn't even see her.
Good day to go steal the records.
Team HR is in the house.
They are.
I haven't seen ever half of them.
Hi. Good. Thanks. Commissioners, good morning. Sherry Corrier, County Administrator. This item is a request for confirmation of a Human Resources Department Director to join your other 11 department directors with Manatee County. Kim Stroud, who's to my right, for those who don't know Kim, is currently with our Employee Health Benefits Program. We're very excited that Kim's experience and uniqueness of her background in human resources rose to the top during our search for a new replacement for Mr. Barnes. It's hard to replace Rodney. He was doing a great job and a lot to tackle. I wanted to mention that in speaking with Kim and having a recommendation from a large team of folks involved in the interview process, I had sent you the process that we went through. 4 things we challenged Kim with accepting this position that she needed to conquer in her first year, and she's going to be our first results-based department director, which she's agreed to do. I don't know. We talked a lot about this before. She accepted. But we have a very strong need for succession planning. As you know, I feel like I've been here in front of you every month asking for a new confirmation, and I had not anticipated that that would be part of what I would be doing in the first year, but I think what that tells you is we have had a dedicated group of individuals with the county and across your departments. And so it's really important to us to continue that with folks that are knowledgeable and have Manatee County knowledge, that also know how you as the board treat your individuals here with the county and how the rest of the world is handling these changes in retaining employees. And so Kim has agreed to work on succession planning with the HR team and come to some very strong recommendations at the end of the first year. Also, we'd like to do things a little quicker, and this is not a negative to our former HR director, but we have some improvements we could make, and Rodney was working on those with his dedicated staff, but we need to pick up the pace on that. As the unemployment rate continues to decrease, it's harder and harder to recruit quality individuals to come into the county, and so that's another challenge for Kim. And then just in general, the recruitment process, being the place of choice for individuals to want to come to. I was speechless this morning when you were recognizing Debbie, but we're looking for a lot of Debbies out there, people that really want to come to work for Manatee County and spend a career making a difference. And I know Kim and the team can find more of those. And then the other major thing is to reevaluate our employee performance evaluation. So it's about time for our EPE to come into a new age, and also Kim and her staff have agreed to that. So with just a little background on Kim, she's managed your $60 million employee health benefits program through a dramatic change over the last 9 years. I always go back to say that when we met with our consultant, Gallagher, this year, they said these words: Manatee County is best in class for the public sector for our employee health benefits program. And I tell you that most of that recognition goes to Kim and her team at EHB. And so it's a tall challenge, but we've asked her to do the same thing to make our the remainder of our our Human Resources Department best in class. So with that, I'd like to seek the confirmation and ask Kim to say a few words.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Palmer, I just want to say that I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to be the next HR director for the county. I have been working in some capacity for the county for the last 12 years as a contract and then as an employee at Employee Health Benefits. And along with my team at EHB, our focus has been employee engagement. How do we create a space where employees feel empowered and engaged and invested in the work that they're doing here and feel appreciated and have the opportunity to grow and develop, just like I've had the opportunity to do over the last 12 years here. So that is our focus. That's been our focus at EHB. I'm very excited about expanding that to other divisions in HR. I know the HR team is excited about being able to roll their sleeves up and do some of that as well. I've got several of my EHB team here and several of the new HR divisions that I'm responsible for, and really excited about the support I'm thrilled about the opportunity to be the first results first director and have some of these initiatives to really be able to take action. It's going to be a team effort, not just coming out of HR, but our department directors have been extremely supportive of taking on some of these new initiatives, and we feel very, very hopeful that we're going to be very successful. So I appreciate this opportunity, and am very humbled and very proud to be offered the opportunity.
Just so you know, Commissioners, the HR team right here, this group of folks, smiling faces and dedicated to continuing their work with Kim at the helm.
Great. Commissioner Servia.
Thank you. Congratulations, Kim. I'm so happy and pleased that you're going to be at the head of the department. I think you'll do a wonderful job. And I want to thank Sherry for the process. And I said this at my briefing. I really, really appreciate the level of professionalism, of going out and looking for the very best person. Even though we knew she was right here, it still means a lot more that we looked far and wide and you rose to the top. Thank you for the process, Sherry, and congratulations, Kim. You're going to do a great job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Commissioner Whitmore.
I've known you since you started.
Yes, you did.
And I remember Bob Goodman.
Yes.
Yes, you worked under him.
Yes.
And then you took over in his shoes, and you've done a great job. We've done a lot of good things with our employee health. The workforce is different today, so I'm glad that we're getting creative. I know you've had great ideas in the department that you've overseen for many years. My daughter and her age group, and even the younger, they don't think about getting a job and maintaining it and retiring. They just don't. And so we have to be creative to get the best quality employees that we can. So I'm going to be interested in seeing, and the private sector has the same issues too. It's just that that's just the way it is nowadays. Everybody thinks it's just, well, I'll just go get another job. It's not like thinking, no, you need to stick in and you need to try to do what you can to do what's best for your company and be part of that for a long time. That doesn't happen anymore. So I can't wait to see what great ideas you guys are going to have, and you've got a young crowd here, and that helps too. And so I can't wait to see, because I know you'll do good things. You've done great things where you've been for the last 9 years, and I know you're going to do great things now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot I can add other than best in class. You know, I mean, that's a great standard to have, and I look forward to applying that in other areas of the county as well. We've got great staff members, and now to have a fabulous HR director who can lead us. It's important, you don't make the most money working for the county, but best in class benefits really is something to attract people. But as Commissioner Whitmore says, we always have to keep looking, and we've been doing some incredible things, our intern program, and just the things that we can do. So I have no doubt that you will be an incredible human resource director. I'm glad you're willing to take this on. And I move confirmation appointment of Kim Stroud as the Human Resource Department Director effective August 6, 2019.
Second.
Okay. Let's see, Whitmore, I think, seconded that. Okay. I just want to say, Kim, congratulations, and, knowing how tight the job market is, and I've had numerous discussions with Sherry as the challenges that we face as we try to fill a lot of vacancies here in the county in order to get all these things done, and especially with the aggressive budget that we're proposing for this year and trying not to tax the people. So I think you're going to have your hands full trying to keep the people that are here happy, and at the same time trying to attract new talent. But I'm sure you're up for the job, and I think it's going to be a great challenge, and you're going to be a great addition. So
Thank you.
I welcome you.
Appreciate that.
So with that, I'll open this up to public comment. Anybody from the public like to add anything? Seeing nobody, we have a motion by Commissioner Benak, seconded by Commissioner Whitmore, to confirm Kim Shroud as our new HR director. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, 6-0. Good girl.
I tell you? Cowbells. Who would have? I said, what did I tell you? You have to be creative. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, that's cute. So I've never met anybody in personnel. Have you?
No.
Except one person. That's cool. Bye.
Cleared everything out.
Hanson group.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of fun.
This must be Jerry, too.
We might make it.
I
I know, I did.
Okay, we're going to move forward now to number 40, the Manatee Incentive Program. Jerry, if you're still here, I hope.
Here she comes.
Ah, there she is. Welcome again.
Good morning again. Jerry Lopez, Director of Redevelopment and Economic Opportunity. We have brought forward the incentive program guidelines. As you may recall, back in December of 2017, we brought the program forward to you to be able to expand several of the incentives to begin to incorporate incentives in the Southwest District. And during that time, we also added our affordable housing program and just several other clarifications. So since then, we have adopted the strategic plan for the Southwest District, and we wanted to take a look at some additional items to be able to implement the plan and some of the goals within it, and have gone through an analysis of several of the incentive programs to be a little bit more kind of creative and progressive about how we can be just more active to be able to attract that incentive and those quality jobs in the Southwest District. So I'd just like to go over some of the changes in the incentive program guidelines. The first one is just in general, and these will be for countywide. We have clarified the definition for sports performance, which is one of our local targeted industries. And in addition, we have also clarified that to be able to act on the incentives, it's going to be 10 jobs that need to be created by the local targeted industries. In addition, as you all know, we use an economic model to be able to do a cost-benefit analysis of the incentives, and as part of that, the program is called Impact Data Source. And with that as part of our review, we wanted to also clarify that we would be using a kind of as an analysis part of a 15% kind of rate of return and a payback period of 7 years or less. So this means that all of the incentives that will be provided will be able to recoup through a variety of benefits to the county over that time period. So moving on to specifically for the Southwest District, as part of our overall economic development incentive programs, we do reimbursements for jobs created. So we want to add a local job bonus that if you hire residents that live in the Southwest District, that we will be able to give an additional $2,000 per job reimbursement for that. Now, remember, all of these incentives are performance-based, and they're all done as a reimbursement after the company has the jobs, and we're able to qualify that those jobs have been created, and we pay that out over a 5-year period. The second item is we are in the process of developing a program for inclusive economic development, and we'll be bringing that forward to you in September for a full presentation. But in anticipation of that, we wanted to add that in here. That is, if you hire one of the graduates from the program, which right now we're looking at Samoset as our pilot program, that would be an additional $3,000 per job. So this is as a way that once we work with the residents as far as job training programs and skills, and we have those graduates, that we can connect them to those jobs as part of the businesses that we're working with to create those jobs. In addition, we'll be expanding the multimodal transportation impact fee incentive on the economic development side. We pay for a portion of it. This would be that if you have that business located in the Southwest District, we will pay for the second side of that. So as I've mentioned to all of you, redevelopment is a lot of hard work, and it does require a lot more work to be able to do these expansions in a redevelopment district. So these incentives really help to equalize and balance the attraction for these companies to be able to make those investments in the district. In addition, for the facility investment fees, we will look at covering the remaining portion of that, and that would be as a reimbursement as well as the permit fees itself. The last item I wanted to touch base upon is our catalytic projects, and this may not necessarily have a job creation component, but as we've been talking about trying to stabilize and expand our tax base and to help attract that additional private investment, if we really have a project that's a game changer, something that has a very significant capital investment, that would be the pot of money on the catalytic projects that we've been talking about to be able to use to help with the infrastructure of those projects. And we'll be talking a lot more about those projects as we move forward, but at least we wanted to be able to highlight that in this page. One thing that we wanted to say in closing is that in researching and proposing these incentives to you, we did look across the state of Florida, and I was glad to hear the word kind of best in class, because we are being very progressive with these incentives to try to be able to attract new jobs and investment and expansions of companies in our redevelopment district, and there's very few other counties that have incentives like this. So we are forging new ground, but we do believe that this really will act as the incentive to get that kind of job creation, and then those links to the local jobs that we're looking for. And one of the things that we also would like to do is kind of get the word out about the new incentives. So we'll be kind of creative in working with Nick, either doing a press release and kind of getting the word out. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Sherry. Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, I had a good briefing yesterday on this issue, and the only comment that I had, and I want to say it publicly, is when we talk about catalytic projects in the Southwest District, and this is a game changer, and we know there's some things that might happen, but I would ask the county attorney's office to specifically look at these, because this is going to be unique. It's not like we have where we pay for jobs created after the fact. So we want to make sure that we have clawback provisions, whatever it might be, because, you know, we're taking on some of the risk of a project. And so I want to make sure that the county is properly protected. So I know we've got some ideas, but we're authorizing this, and I don't have any problem with the concept, but it's how it gets implemented that I do have some concerns about, because we know that, you know, sometimes people are coming in with sometimes innovative projects, and they take a lot of the risk. I want to minimize our risk. I want to be a partner, but I want to minimize our risk. So that's something I guess I'm just looking to make sure that we do that.
All of these projects, once they go through, will be coming to you individually. We haven't had the specific discussions about how, but we do envision some sort of agreement that would be approved before any of these projects would move forward.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Survey?
As always, my office will work with Ms. Lopez's department, as always.
Yeah, I really appreciate your comments, Betsy. They were very good. And Jerry, I want to thank you also for the great briefing yesterday, and I'm really excited that we have probably the strongest program in the state of Florida, you know, that we're really stepping out there to do some things that are a little different. But I agree that our risk does need to be minimized. The Samoset pilot project is particularly exciting to me. We have such a high unemployment rate there that's much higher than the rest of the county. And so to tackle that in so many different ways through training and hiring bonuses, you know, those things hopefully are going to move the needle in the direction that it needs to go. And this program reminds me a lot of, I see Charlie Kennedy in the audience, about the community schools that they're working on. And, you know, the commonality is that collaboration. You know, the more that we can collaborate with our existing nonprofits and our existing partners throughout the county, the stronger we are in trying to achieve results. So thank you very much for this project. I'm really, really excited to see what happens, and I hope that it's successful.
Commissioner Trace.
I move the adoption of the revised Manatee County Incentive Program guidelines, providing for incentives related to economic development, redevelopment, and affordable housing.
Second.
Okay. Just, you know, my one comment is that, you know, I think a lot of exciting things are going down, you know, in that southwest area now. You can see, I think with Gettle finishing up his big expansion, you know, you're seeing some stuff being built across the street from him now that's going to be opening up. Obviously, the medians on Bayshore Parkway look great, and I know that you have put out some intentions of finishing those all the way down to 41, and you know, and of course, it wouldn't be right if I didn't say it. You know, at some point we'll finish 34th Street. You know, so you don't need a tank to drive from Florida Boulevard to 53rd Avenue. You know, and I know that you know, IMG. So there's a lot of good things happening down there, and I think it's under your guardianship that, you know, you've put these programs together to incentivize the people, and I think the Samoset thing is a great place to start this pilot program, you know, because, you know, we now need to start working in some of these other areas that are, you know, a little more blighted, and get some more businesses in there, and hopefully at some point some affordable housing in that area for everybody. But I think you're doing just a great job, Jerry, and you know, and I know Misty and I both kind of represent a lot of that district, so we're, you know, excited for what's happening to our, you know, constituents down there. So with that, I'll open up for public comment. If anybody from the public would like to come down. Oh, surprise.
Good morning, Commissioners. Max Stewart with the Bradenton Area EDC. I just want to echo Jerry's comments. We've been working with them on helping support these and market these to companies that are looking in this area. And this gives us some very creative tools at the EDC to go actually market businesses, both here in the county with our established business program, which Commissioner Serbia, you were on that business walk we did, but just telling the story about the benefits to the Southwest District, where 3/4 of all of our targeted industries are in the county right now. It's very important for us to be able to use those to talk to companies about expanding their business, hiring higher wage workers, and also recruiting businesses to the area. And we're doing a number of projects right now and leads that we're working on that these can support those projects. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Servia, to adopt the revised Manatee County Incentive Program. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Jerry.
Good job.
Okay, I think that other than the 11:30 for the consent item agenda, I guess we'll move on to Commissioner comments. Start with Carol.
Yes. Since we can't talk about you guys till 11:30, I know you're all looking. It's pulled items are 11:30, sorry, but we will be bringing them up. Friday, the 27th, on Anna Maria Island, a main broke on my street, and I kind of noticed it had been raining a lot, and I noticed all of a sudden when I was walking the dogs about 10:30, the water was in the middle of the street, and I didn't do anything because I didn't realize it was a water break, but our neighbors did. And from what I understood, our staff came in about 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then they were there till 3 in the morning. And my neighbors wanted me to thank the county. We had guys in a hole to their chest in water, and I've seen it before, and I brought this up before. So whoever was working at 3 a.m. on Friday, the 27th, it was probably Saturday then, I want the staff to please tell them thank you very much. That's a hard job. I went by, I've told you guys before, I went by another issue, what happened, and one of our staff people got cut in the head when he was in a ditch, and I could see blood all over his head, but he was still working. So I just want to thank our employees for the hard work they do in utilities, because they're out there in the trenches and they're on call at night. Also, on my way to work Saturday, into town, it was actually during the week, it had been Friday. That same day, I saw property management at like 8 in the morning along our beaches at Kingfish Boat Ramp. And I watched him, and he was picking up the trash cans, but people would like pick the trash cans and I'd go to the next thing. This guy actually, I saw him pull out the cans, go around, pick up all the trash around, and that just showed that what's the word I want to use? He was proud of his job, and he was proud of his work that he was doing. So I just wanted to state that, and that was about 8 o'clock on the 27th too, and I think that's Charlie's group. Wanted to thank them. 3 commissioners attended the ribbon cutting for the Bradenton Beach floating dock. That's open now. It's wonderful. Thank you. TDC helped fund it, half of it. It took years. They had to get the parts for Spain. I heard the whole story with John Chappie. Somebody happened to see the dock in Tampa or St. Pete at a marine that was sitting there, and they got people together, and we finally were able to bring the products to Bradenton Beach and get the floating dock built. So, and I'm sure Steve, if he'll maybe make comments on that also. This weekend, 5 commissioners attended the Adopt-A-Palooza. 3,500 people attended. It was probably the largest one we've had yet. I want to thank the staff. I can't believe they had to bring all the animals in as we were adopting. They went and got more. They worked. Volunteers were everywhere. That was a big community effort. It's a really hard thing. I don't know if we can do it twice a year, because this is mainly Friends of Animal Services, the nonprofit that helps put this together. I think we're having an event coming up to empty the shelters. That's a state thing or federal thing that we do. Those adoption fees will be free, from what I heard from staff, because that's what they require if you do this. We're doing a lot of good things. We are getting some of the shelter up, but what you saw, 3,500 people, you saw a caring community, and I just want to thank the commissioners that were able to make it. Steve had something, I know he had something planned, but I just wanted to thank the commissioners that were able to make it. And the other thing is hepatitis A. As you know, the state has deemed that this is a major issue in our state now. We've seen it in Manatee County. I think we're up to 100. I remember I was bringing it up when there was 9 people in the community. I went to Winn-Dixie on Manatee Avenue, and I said, oh, by the way, do you give hepatitis A? And they go, sure. So I sat right there, and I got it, and I've never done that. Insurance paid for it, and if you don't have insurance, we need to get this out to the community. Health Department does it for free. Rural Health probably does it for a discounted fee, but we really got to get these people in our community vaccinated. We're around public all the time. This is very easy to get, and it can be major. You can have major problems with this. So it has increased in the state now, and so we're seeing it. We saw it in Anna Maria Island at a restaurant, and it's happening everywhere, and it's mainly because you don't wash your hands. Restaurant workers, people in the service industry, how many hands do we all shake? We don't know if people have all washed their hands. So it's very easy to acquire. So I would encourage us to figure out a way that we can work with the health department again and remind everybody where they can call to get their vaccines. And also, people with insurance, your physicians can give it or drugstores give it. So I just wanted to pass that on, and that's all I have.
Okay, I think Betsy has a comment.
What Carol said reminded me of something. So we provide water and sewer to some cities as a wholesale, and then they're responsible for maintenance of the lines and making sure they don't build buildings on top of lines and fun things like that. Have we looked at doing that perhaps for all of our wholesale customers? I know there was some discussion about that. I know
I understand your question.
Rather than the county guy being out there fixing it, it would be a city guy fixing it. That's why it made me think of it. So that they're a wholesale customer and that we're not responsible for the lines. Is that something that might be on a list to look at?
I have not seen that as of yet, but I will find out from Mr. Gore what has been discussed about that in the past. I know we've had a lot of discussions, and I know I keep bringing this up, but The Utilities Department's going to present their budget to you on the 15th, and we're going to go over extensively over water, wastewater, and we'll make sure that's part of what they
Okay.
discuss.
Great. And it might have been a discussion I had with Hunsaker. I can't remember who I discussed that with, but in
Commissioner Benak, it's an idea that has been floated,
Okay.
yes. And Mr. Gore is certainly familiar with those discussions, and so yes, that's something that has been looked at. I don't know if it's actively being looked at, but I mean, we're in litigation right now in a matter involving the city of Braden Beach, as the commissioners well know, involving one of our very critical wastewater lines there on the island. So where there was a proposal literally to build a structure on top of our pre-existing line.
Right.
Can I make a comment on that? I did see a gentleman the next day, no, actually that Monday, because it happened, and he came and they were cleaning it up, and what it was a construction site, they were building a house, and you know those big waste containers that they put out, the truck went on and it crushed our line from what I understand, so it's a house that was being built, it's an empty lot right now. But a gentleman came up and I said, I want to thank you, but why are you guys doing this? This was the builder's fault. This was not, I mean, you know, why is he doing it? And he goes, ma'am, we've got to protect our lines.
That's right.
And I went,
Yep.
how cool. It was a young kid. He'd only been there not even a year. But I said, well, hopefully the customer that broke this will be paying. And that I don't know. So that may be something we should look at if they're not. If it was if somebody doing construction broke our lines, there should be somebody paying for this.
Commissioners, I can comment on that to some extent. There have been instances in the past where our lines have been negligently damaged by contractors in the field. We have pursued claims against those responsible contractors in the past. Those kinds of things come through the risk management division in my office. And so we are always looking, frankly, for those opportunities. If a contractor was clearly to blame, sometimes things get a little bit sticky in those situations where we've done our best to locate the lines in the field in advance, but the location turned out to be quite not accurate. And so sometimes you have contractors that are, listen, this is not unique to Manatee County, okay? This is a nationwide phenomenon where all local governments, do their best to determine where lines are in the ground. Some of these lines are very, very old. Modern day practice is to require the contractor to provide the government with what's called as-built construction plans, so that we can pinpoint where those lines are in the ground. But we attempt to flag the lines. Sometimes if those flags are not located properly and the contractor relies upon them, then you have mishaps. But in those situations where we can clearly establish that the contractor knew or should have known that the line was there and damaged it, we will pursue a claim against the responsible contractor.
This one was a waste container hauler because the contractor had left, and the way he went to take the full one out and bring an empty one in so they could continue, and that's when I heard it crush. So that would be a subcontractor of the builder. But yeah, okay.
Commissioner Benak.
And if I might follow up, I mean, it's great it was potable water, right? It wasn't wastewater.
Right.
We know that the state legislature has looked at fining local governments for wastewater spills. We know that we have, and I have responded to people about this issue saying, look, it hasn't been popular, but we've raised our utility rates so that we can make sure that we have a regular maintenance program, replacement program. It isn't popular, but, we have to do it, and it's a responsible thing to do to try to keep these spills to a minimum. But again, if this is going to become a responsibility of the county, we might want to look at sharing that responsibility with the end users, which is the cities, like we do. I guess we do that for Palmetto, for example. They're a wholesale customer. We don't maintain the lines out there. They maintain them. So why not at the beach? And quite frankly, the beach might have additional problems maybe sea level rise? I don't know. I know we haven't talked about it as a group, but those are the things that I'm thinking about.
And we have some agreements with all the cities, and I know that I can tell you that there's a forward thought discussion on how renegotiations would be. I believe it's a number of years out, but we'll make sure that we bring that forward when on the 15th as well, if it's not already in the evident in the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. At this point, we're just going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll reconvene.
Okay, good.
That's okay with
Thank you.
everyone.
That's great. Thank you.
That's what you say, boss.
People are here first.
Nope.
There we go. Okay, Mr. Bellamy, comments?
This weekend was great. That's the first time I had experienced that at the Pet Palooza. That's it.
Adopt-A-Palooza.
Adopt-A-Palooza. Actually made some new friends there with some of the dogs. Prior to that, Genesis Health Clinic opened a low-income dental health service in Palmetto, and that is another compliment of what Debbie Leon and her husband does to impact the community. So we do need to make sure that we that we acknowledge that. And we did the ribbon cutting there, myself and some other local elected officials from Palmetto. And then there was actually some individuals there waiting for some services right then. So that was excited that particular opportunity has been extended to individuals with low income. The second thing, I have a request that we look into. I know we just started the Somerset lighting project. I've been asking for us to consider it now. My request is to see what steps we need to take for the Memphis lighting project to be next. Because there was a process of about 18 months figuring out the steps that need to be taken in order for the Somerset light process to move. And it's moving now, and we're very thankful for it. But the next thing that I would like is for us to see how we can move that in the Memphis area. So if those administrative steps need to be taken, we can start taking those steps so it can be a progression from Somerset to Memphis and going there.
We could bring a report back on August 20th of
Yes.
what steps would be involved in any board approvals that might be required for that and timing.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Commissioner Trace.
I'm very happy to report, we always have, since I've been here, I've started a reading program in Ribonia for the summer. And just to let you kind of know, Michaela Dunbar read 47 books.
Whoa.
Jada Poole read 37. And Billy Boston read 37. Very, very proud of these kids, and they're doing great things, the Derek Randall Foundation, out in Ribonia for those kids.
Can you talk about the principal and the grade?
Oh, for the,
Palmview.
okay, and also,
Sure.
just to say, very proud of Palmview Elementary, went from a D school to an A in 1 year.
Whoa.
That's
How did they
something,
do
I know
that?
this isn't a school, it's not really county, but they're doing great. We have great people really trying to make our kids together, and I'm very happy of the partnerships that we have gotten together with the school board, and I think we're doing great. I think we're in the right direction and doing good things, and our kids are the ones that are benefiting for us, and that's really all that's important.
Right.
Side discussion. Just as a proud individual that attended Palmview, when I heard that information, it warmed me on the inside. And so there are some great things that's going on in our community, but I'm a Palmview Tiger myself. So.
All right. Tigers and sharks.
I think it's Tiger.
Okay, a couple things. I also attended Adopt-A-Palooza. It was amazing to see the number of folks that were there, to see all the kitties. I love seeing all the kitties because I can't have a kitty because my kids are allergic. But our volunteers rock. You know, they really, really, really do a great job. I also attended before that the Kiwanis Club 9th Annual Christmas in August, where we do serve the homeless folks in Manatee County, and it's a great outpouring of community support. We did get rained on, but a lot of families showed up. We gave away backpacks and we gave away gift cards, and there's so many of these type things going on in the community that I look forward to having after the meeting to talk with my friends at Kiwanis as well about the Hope for Communities, as well as Reggie, I know, is doing one at the Palmetto Youth Center. And we need to talk about how we best utilize these resources. Maybe it's something that we get the Community Foundation to help us with. But because the Hope for Communities is a church-run group, and they do an amazing job, but they not only help the families with back to school, they help them all year round. But they're looking for funding, so there's a lot of ways to work together. I will tell you, though, that I had a common thing happen when I was out in the public. I had many people come up to me and say, "Why are you not going to Washington?" We need you to go to Washington. And I was like, I go to Washington. I go to Washington every year. I meet with our legislative delegation. We work with our hired
Lobbyists.
Lobbyists, thank you. Work with our hired lobbyists to achieve the agenda that we set forward. So that made me thinking over the weekend, what's different? What's going on? Why? And I admitted that when I saw the information, federal fly-in, FAC, NACO, to me, it was just like a picture moment, not so important. But now I found out there will be meetings set up with Jocelyn and with legislators.
Well, is
Yeah,
that new?
nobody knew that, I don't think. I asked that question. That was not a known entity. I said, what is the agenda? What are we advocating for? Is it the agenda that we already set last year? I think it has to be, right? I'm also on the NACO board, so I've reconsidered this. I am probably going to go to Washington now because I think it is important. But I told Charlie I would not throw him under the bus. I'm not throwing Nick under the bus. I just don't think that this came about the right way. I read about it in the paper.
Yeah.
That's why everybody else, all of our constituents, and my bad maybe for not thinking about this as seriously perhaps as I should have. But when I saw a federal fly-in, and it's to meet with FAC and to meet with NACO, initially I thought,
You do
why
that.
spend the money? But then I saw it on TV again yesterday. 3 commissioners are going, and I'm like, and again, people ask me, why aren't you? You need to be there. You need to represent us. So I'm going to listen, and I'm going to probably go. But I would like to have, perhaps, before we do go, a discussion to make sure we know exactly, because that's how we do it before we go to Washington in the spring, right? We talk about what our agenda is. Obviously, I've got to get up to speed on the NACO and the FAC agenda for the federal discussion. So I want to have that discussion. I've talked with Nick about this. I've talked with Charlie about it. I think we needed to have that discussion, and we haven't had it, to my knowledge. Also, Washington, D.C., I know there's an invite. I asked Sherry to check. Can I go to this still? There are 2 separate things going on. It's not just facts. It's also the White House doing this. There's important things going on in our community. There's important things going on in this country. I just, I guess I probably have to accept some of the fault for not thinking about it the right way, but I just thought I'd bring it up here because this is the only place we can talk as a group. So just letting you know that I'm probably going to go. It's obviously, there's going to be a cost. And I asked Nick, I assume we'll still go. And I asked Charlie, we still go in the spring? And they said, yeah. So just thought I'd throw that out for your thoughts and any discussion we might have.
I'll take some of the, blame, because I had signed up for the trip to Washington to go to the White House and was in conversations with Jocelyn, said, hey, if I'm going to be up there, why don't we see if we could meet with some people and talk about, obviously the Piney Point issue and, anything else. And, because if we're going to spend, I felt if I'm going to spend the county's money going up there, why don't we maximize the use of that? Because I don't think that the meeting in the White House was going to, last all day type of thing. So, I'll take some of the blame for maybe not communicating that was kind of on my agenda, and I knew that Misty was going and Vanessa, and I thought, hey, we'll have 3 people we can, we paying Jocelyn, good money to lobby for, so maybe she could set up some, so we can keep pushing our agenda forward type of thing. So, like I say, I probably should have communicated it, what I was kind of thinking. I just wasn't thinking that deep, but just like, hey, if we're there, let's make the most out of the, the money we're spending to get us up there. So, Reggie.
I will say I didn't know that we were having meetings. We do have a PSC meeting on that Wednesday, and I have the canvassing board responsibility that Friday, right? And that's the reason why I cannot attend. But I was very interested. But it was just some things that I felt like here needed to be addressed with some of the strides that we're making within the PSC. Just for a point of order, I made a mistake. One of my Palmview friends have reached out to me. It's not the Palmview Tigers, it's the Panthers. I'm probably getting at the age, right, where they've changed it. so it's the Panthers. I do want to make sure I make that change. And Friends of Animal Services, the nonprofit, Karen Hodges and Sarah Brown. I'm not normally a name dropper and things of that, but they do need to be acknowledged for the work that was done this weekend. So I asked, because that was in me, that I want to make sure I identified them. So that's it for me. I probably won't say nothing else for 3 weeks now.
Commissioner Whitmore?
And on that one issue, I think that, maybe we should consider, she's done this for years now, Karen has, and I never even thought it till just a second, but maybe present her with a gold coin or something at one of our meetings, or, I know commissioners do that amongst themselves, or some kind of recognition. I think that they got all the animal rescues, as well as our staff got all the rescues together. They had 67 vendors. And Karen would text me at 10 or 11 at night, say, hey, can you give me Ed Childs? All these contacts that they're trying to get to be sponsors. And she works night and day, but she's like that, type A. So maybe we can do some kind of recognition for her and her group, and all the groups really, but she's one that they worked with our staff on this. I'm glad you brought up this trip, because what I heard at the dais when Commissioner Boss said she was going to the White House, and I knew nothing about this. I saw this fly-in for FAC, and I thought, as you know, I don't do well flying. Plus, I got a husband at home that I can't commit that many days to be away from him unless I pay lots of money to do that. So I have to pick and choose where I go. But it said she's going, it was mentioned they're going to the White House. What are you guys going to the White House for anyway? Is there a meeting, and what kind of meeting is it? I've never seen anything. What does it say? I'm going to ask Betsy, and then I got more questions, or Steve. Anybody knows what the meeting's about at the White House?
Well, you want me to respond?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I
did look into this, and I did actually read this last night, kind of late. This is the Regional State Leadership Days that they're going to have. This is an initiative they started 2017-18, and I remember that. I remember that invite, and
we didn't go.
Yeah, for whatever reasons didn't go. But they're going to talk about shared federal, state, local priorities, including infrastructure, rural development, community revitalization, combating the opioid drug crisis, and more. You're going to have Secretary, United States Department of Commerce, Secretary Wilbur Ross and Lloyd Kudlow, among other senior officials, joined this before. They're going to do a similar thing. They're hosting this along with leaders from Alabama, Florida, and Georgia. Obviously, we're all invited. They're going to have a conference call on August 14th to talk about what this is going to be. So I don't think it's really specifically defined. I did get an agenda, which I will ask Sherry to go ahead and share all of the stuff that I have, because I looked at it all, because I felt a little, but it was all given to us. I just didn't take the time to read a lot of it. But I just think we have enough time to make sure that because going on these trips, we need to make sure that we're coordinated, and we need to make sure that we have a uniform, pre-discussed agenda. It can't be something new unless we
vote on
talk
it, right?
And vote about it.
And so to me, it sounds like a fact meeting with the nationals, and every county in the state of Florida is invited, probably all over the country. So they're going to go to that. It's an educational thing with some of the federal leaders and the counties. And this is invited to all counties in the United States that are members of FAC, I'm assuming, right? Probably, yes. I'm just going to assume it is, because why would it just be us? Okay, and my question is, okay, so then we're going to go ahead and meet with Jocelyn, which is fine, but again, it is probably correct. We can't be meeting with Jocelyn, and Steve knows this, and and Betsy, you all know this. We can't be meeting with our legislators about something that we haven't voted on, because that would be a sunshine issue, right? Okay. So I just want us to be careful about doing that. I think Jocelyn would probably have been there anyway, but if we're going to try to get in to meet some of our representatives or senators, then we can only stick with what so far we approved last year and nothing more. And we know our legislators may start talking about stuff that we haven't support it. We have, you know how I am. We have to be really careful. We can't talk about it. And so I don't know how you all are going to handle that. But I knew Joshua would probably be there anyway because she represents so many people, and I'm sure they're invited. I just saw it, when I read it, I just looked at it and deleted it. Thought it was just like a picture op too. We could get some business done, Steve's right, but I think we have to be very, very careful that we're not going above our scope, because I know some commissioners had other meetings. If that's related to other boards, that's fine, as long as we're not breaking any sunshine rules if other commissioners go with other commissioners and it's something else regarding state and they're on a state board. I'd just be so careful about the sunshine on all this, because we haven't really voted on anything.
Well, if I could just respond briefly, you know, and one of the reasons that I'm very motivated to go is because of the water quality issue.
Oh, that's Vanessa.
You know, it is a water, and it is not just Vanessa.
She said.
I know Vanessa sits on the FAC.
Right.
She's been appointed to the FAC Water Board. I've been appointed to the FAC Board of Directors. You were there before.
I'm
I honestly
healthcare.
don't know exactly what it means because I've never been in this position. So I'm learning as I go along. But this is a big issue to our state. And, you know, the federal guys have a big part in it. I'd love to know what they're going to do with Lake Okeechobee, what they're going to do. But we've already made that a priority. So I feel we can discuss that, but if we want to refine a little bit about what the ask is, if there's an ask, I would like to have that discussion among our board members. And when Vanessa is here, and obviously we have time before this October meeting, but I do look forward to advocating for working together, because it is not just a local issue, water quality, obviously, so.
Right. Good.
Sherry?
I'm just going to mention, Mr. Chairman, we'll, as staff, we'll sit in on the conference call to get more details for you and work with Jocelyn and get more details about what is planned. And then, as Commissioner Benak stated, that gives us an opportunity to come back to you as a group prior. So if you want to modify or change or renew new issues for the discussion, you'll have that authority.
Okay. Just one other thing I forgot to mention, that at the Christmas in August, the health department was there and they gave out free hepatitis A shots at Christmas in August for anyone who wanted to do it. I also went to, because I knew I was going overseas, I went to Winn-Dixie, got my Hep A shot, because I wasn't sure what they were going to require when I was trying to get into another country. So no biggie. No problems. People ask me, did you have any problems? I said, nope, no issues. Got my Hep A shot, and you have to go 6 months later to get another booster.
If you want to.
So,
yeah.
if you want to.
You don't have to, but you should, but it's not necessary, not life or death.
They
No,
told me
I
it
talked
was.
to a pharmacist about it.
Okay. Well.
But I'm going to go anyway, because I don't want to get it.
Yeah, I'm going to go and take my 6-month booster. I just wanted to reference that. And I do thank everyone who came out. Manatee County staff were there. Historical Resources were there. It really is a great community effort. We need to continue to do that. We just need to figure out how to maybe do it a little bit more.
On a dry day.
Yeah, on a dry day. And where I don't have to be there at 6 a.m.
You have to get up at 5:30. We heard
I get up
that.
at 5 to make it
We
there.
heard that.
Thank you.
Misty?
Yes, thank you, Carol, for bringing up the hepatitis A, because I've been watching the reports, and I'm finally at the point where I'm going to Winn-Dixie today to get my shot. So I appreciate that. Regarding the trip to Washington, I was motivated to go because of water quality issues. I thought there was an opportunity to kind of underscore what we've already said to our national leaders and update them on our programs here for the oyster program and the clam program. And so that was what motivated me to go, and I would welcome anybody else who wants to come. I think the more the better.
Misty, on that, we haven't approved that as our legislative platform yet, the oyster and stuff. Just so you know, it's going to be coming up, and that's why I was leery about all this. I mean, I know that it's going to be brought up in our next legislative platform. So just so but I think we'll probably approve it before you go up.
Okay, thank you. And I wanted to report on the traffic light that the county recently installed at 26th Street and Florida Boulevard. if you guys remember that. That's basically the entrance to the Bayshore Rec Center. And there was some controversy about it. It used to be a four-way stop. There were numerous accidents there. And my previous, the Robin DeSabatino, who sat in the seat before me, pushed for that, and it was installed. And I will tell you, in speaking with the Bayshore residents, they say it's made a tremendous difference in safety. So yeah, accidents are now, they haven't even had any, knock on wood. So it's made a really big difference in safety. There were some, complaints, I think, from the people who had the poles installed in their yard because they're quite big.
Yeah.
But for the community, it seems to have been the right decision. Just a reminder for those who are going to the Parish Community High School, I think the grand
Tonight.
opening is tonight.
All of us, I think.
And Mona Jane is on Thursday, and those are really exciting things to be at. I hope to be there. That's it. Thank you.
Vicki, you have anything?
Nothing. Thank you.
Jerry? No?
Nothing now, thank you.
Okay, now we still have to kill 14 minutes.
Take a break.
Take a break.
Well, I guess we'll just take a break for 14 minutes. And then we'll be back at 11:30 to...
13 now.
13 now, okay.
Oh, this is all my fault.
That street there.
Yeah, you gotta go around the curve.
Just go wherever your phone tells you to go.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Siri?
Siri?
Okay, we call the meeting back to order, and this is for item number 19 on the consent agenda. Mr. Palmer would like to make some preliminary comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I volunteered to assist the board through this particular matter a little bit here. Commissioner Bellamy has a voting conflict relative to the Palmetto Youth Center entries in this matrix, and so what I would suggest that the board do first off, and should probably do this by way of a motion, is to remove from consideration, remove from discussion for the moment, the two Palmetto Youth Center entries that appear in this matrix. One is the Palmetto Youth Center Foundation for Excellence program, and the other is the Palmetto Youth Center Teen Hike program. So I'm recommending that you essentially pluck out those two entries from the matrix for separate, distinct discussion after you have covered everything else in the matrix.
So move.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Servier to pull the two items that relate to the Palmetto Youth Center. So at this point, if there's anybody I'll open that up for public comment. If there's anybody in the public that has any questions about those two items in the matrix regarding the Palmetto Youth Center, please come forward. Seeing nobody, we will close public comment. We have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Servia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, I assume.
I make a motion that.
That
Wait.
Commissioner Bellamy abstains from that, right? Would that be correct?
Well, again, we will have a separate and distinct
Okay.
discussion
Any vote?
on the Palmetto Youth Center, at which time I do anticipate that Commissioner Bellamy will abstain from voting.
So he has to vote for this one.
So he can vote for this one.
So for now, I mean, we just had a vote on removing those two items from the
Correct.
matrix, correct?
Yes.
So for now, you're discussing the entire matrix except
I make a
two
motion
Palmetto
that we
Youth Center
accept the
entries.
rest of the
Hey,
matrix
point of
minus the
order,
Palmetto
Point of order.
Youth
What is
Center.
I know we're trying to speed through this, but what is
votes
Reggie,
on that
is he allowed to vote or not to vote?
Oh, yes, Commissioner
That's what
Bellamy
we
is
asked.
allowed to vote
Okay.
So far.
on everything except
I
the
know, I
Palmetto
get
Youth
that.
Center.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I was
Even-
unclear on that.
Even to remove it, he can vote
Yes.
on that.
Vote to remove the
That's
two
what I
items.
asked. We just made the motion.
Yes? He should recuse himself from that vote.
And I
Oh,
will.
okay.
Okay, so
That's
it's
what we wanted to know.
Okay, so we're going to re-vote on the removal of the two items relating to the Palmetto Youth Center. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion passes 5-0 with Commissioner Bellamy abstaining.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda minus the Palmetto Youth Center, the rest, the other parts. Yes, I think I can.
I will second that for discussion, but I do need
I
to
have-
have discussion.
There's people here that want to.
Not only that, I had a couple items that I had pulled that I wanted to discuss also, but I think we should hear from them first.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. First, Commissioner Whitmore.
Well, I'm assuming, I see Marianne Legler here, so it's about the decrease in funding. Somebody help me what it's called again.
It's called, I believe it's Your Choice, is that correct?
It's Your
No.
Choice.
Teen Health.
Teen Health.
Healthy Teens Coalition of
Healthy
Manatee,
Teens.
there it is. And they requested 90, and they got, their scoring was only 71, and they got 0. And if somebody can help me with what they received last year, I think last year they didn't get anything either, or they got a decrease. They were, obviously, they're not doing something right with their outcomes, because they were very successful in getting the teen pregnancy rate down, so it's something
Have
that they're
staff
not
here.
doing.
We have
Yeah.
staff that can answer.
Yeah, they didn't apply last year.
Oh, okay, so this is their first year, okay. Last year, wasn't there funding decrease on another program?
They've never applied. That
Okay.
agency has never applied before.
For this, okay. All right, and I'm sure they'll talk under public, but that's why I wanted to question that. Okay, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Benak.
Yeah, and I do need somewhat of a presentation on this, because the scoring, for example, I'll use this teen health program that they applied for, scored at 71.8, and they were proposed for $0 yet. Teen Hype, for example, scored at 55.3, and they got approved for funding. So I would like to know how these decisions were made, what the recommendations were based on.
They were based on score, but they were also based on some other factors.
Okay.
So the Healthy Teens program had a lot of confusion to it on what they were actually asking us to fund.
Okay.
Whether it was scholarships or some other thing, or I may be getting that confused with another program, I'm sorry. But the Teen Hype program had been funded in the past.
Okay.
Several years. But
So
that's
it isn't-
also one that we're not discussing right now.
So
We can discuss it.
it isn't just score. So the score was put together by who exactly? Was it with the Children's Services Advisory Board? Did they
The advisory
grade
board
this?
members rate those
Maybe
programs.
just a little bit of a presentation might help some context. I mean, I don't know if you guys were prepared to do any kind of presentation or not.
Not really.
Not really? Sorry.
Ava or?
We can talk about it.
So there is a, Ava Edie, Neighborhood Services Department. There is a Children's Services Ordinance, and that is our first part. That is where we look to determine what it is we will fund, and that is from that original ordinance that actually Sherry helped put in place some decades ago. That is the first part. The second part then is the Children's Services Advisory Board puts together the scoring rubric. And then they meet and they have discussions, and it is moved to a results-based in 2016 format for us to look at any programs and determine. And it's about 17, 18 was the first that applications were moved to that results-based. It is a hard transition to make because now not only are we asking for a program to occur, but to reconvene and to find out the data on how that program has affected change in that community. What are the results once the program has been in place? So we have some agencies that have more than one program, so each program has to be looked at individually.
Okay. Do you want me to, can I continue?
Might as well, yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, I appreciate that, and I know also that we have a work session with the Children's Services Advisory Board where we give them direction on what we think are our priorities, and I know they're listed in the back up there, but I do know that our priorities have been supporting foster care families. That has been a big priority that we set because of the situation that the county is in, trying to support after-school programs, trying to, I mean, I'm looking at the, the scoring still, so I guess, do you want to comment on that?
There's an
that any
annual
further?
plan. If Susan Ford could comment on your annual plan and how
Okay,
it sets priorities.
There's an annual plan, and each year that sets the priorities for the upcoming year. And there were, I believe, 5 priorities in there that the CSAB had set. One of them was child welfare. Another one was grade level reading. Just off the top of my head, I don't have those. Sorry, it's right here in front of me. Families formed by adoption are stable and supported, and students improve reading skills, improve student behavior, and the other 2 were on foster care.
Okay, because there are some things, and help me with the It's Your Choice, the school district of Manatee County. I know we've struggled with that in the past. I think that's what the one Carol was thinking about when she said that it got reduced funding last year. And this was something that was kind of confusing to me. So we're looking at the funding request, not necessarily what they got funded last year. So we were trying to keep even funding for many programs. What kind of funding did the It's Your Choice, the pregnancy prevention, what kind of funding did that get last year?
Just one second here.
Because that's not a new program, right?
They
I mean,
received $201,000 last year.
And the recommendation to zero them out this year, is that, can you?
It has totally to do with results and the lack of them. It's a 2-week program every school year. There's no follow-up to find out whether or not they have been successful in the types of things they're trying to prevent. So it's really difficult to recommend funding for that kind of program.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Those are my questions. Commissioner Servia?
Yes, thank you. And I have a question about two of the items on our spreadsheet. The first is the Center for Success at Talavast. We all know that there have been some serious allegations about the running of that facility, and I understand that this programming is a little bit separated from those issues, but I would like to hear just a little summary of why this program was funded to ensure that these tax dollars are being spent as they're supposed to be, and that is to help kids in the Talavast community, because I have heard from many, many people there that they have been denied access to the facility.
These recommendations were made on May 20-something. Those allegations did not come out until June, so they recommended based on the information they had.
So that gives me great concern.
Commissioners, currently, staff has reviewed however, we need to add, staff's reviewed the program that is being funded currently for for compliance with the agreement. And the particular program that's in question here, Susan could follow up, but there has or has not been any issues found with that particular program.
Correct. We've not found any we've had no monitoring findings on that program.
So it's from an organizational perspective of how they run the organization, who's in charge. Those sometimes are not county responsibilities. However, in this case, we have been working with the clerk of the court who's contacted us and are looking in further, as well as the Manatee County Sheriff's Office has contacted us just so we can provide any documents that we have. And so any other discussion about any concerns with the organization, I don't believe we can really comment on right now. We don't have any additional details, but it is being looked at.
And if I could add, we have assessed that information on the current youth participants of that Centers for Success OST program, including the location of the schools from where they're being transported. And we believe the majority of the children are within the service area of other school programs funded through the Children's Services dedicated millage and can be readily absorbed into their program. So our concern is always what's going to happen with those children should they stay in this or move to another program. There are no kids walking there from the neighborhood. They're being bused from everywhere, including Sarasota County.
All right, well, I still have great pause with that program, and I will say, secondly, I'd like to bring up the Manatee County YMCA program at Harley Middle School. I see that was not funded this year. Could you explain, do you have the details on why that was not funded?
That one was very confusing in the application. They said that they were using Harley Middle School, that it would be an after-school program, yet there is no school at Harley Middle at this time. So there was a lot of confusion in that application and no clear reason to fund it at this point.
While I understand that there's no after-school program of the Harley Middle School students, I have been out to that program and seen what great work they're doing at Harley Middle School at the campus with children in the area. So that's disappointing to see that they didn't get their funding.
They didn't.
That's all I have right now.
Commissioner Benet?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So, so this rating score, so people make application, and I know our Children's Services Advisory Board works very, very hard to boil this down, to give a recommendation. And then we've got the final say, right? I mean, that's kind of where we are. All right, so I don't like hearing what I just heard about the Talavast Community Center. We all know that there's some strange things going on as far as ownership. You know, the whole, from what I've heard, what I've been told up here, their board is all related, you know, and now you're telling me they're having an after-school program where they're busing kids from Sarasota, which, you know, I live down there. I live right off Talavast Road. We do have a Sarasota address. I could kind of see that, but I don't think that was the intent when our voters voted to approve the Children's Services tax in Manatee County. So I'm a little confused why we would recommend funding, or you're saying it came before. So I would like to flag that. I don't know what we're doing here.
Well, I
Not
think,
necessarily
I
say
think
that we're
there's,
gonna.
Commissioners, there's been in the past variety of different things done over the years. You can ask the children's, you can send back the items that you're bringing up to the Children's Services Advisory Board. I think they have a meeting in late August.
August 21st.
To review. I would indicate that if there are Sarasota individuals at any program that have a Sarasota County address, we don't reimburse for that. Just to be clear, that's not, those people would not be eligible for our funding. It doesn't mean they couldn't be a part of a program. It means we would not be paying for them out of county funding. So if there are programs such as the Center for Success you'd like the staff to take back to the advisory board for more of an investigation, that would be, they would welcome that, and we would also be able to come back with your final recommendations prior to the adoption of the final budget on September 17th. That's a requirement in Ordinance 91-42 that if you do not, if you are recommending programs, they have to be within the annual budget, or a special public hearing has to be done if it happens outside of the budget. So there would be time to review those.
Okay.
If you'd like us to do that.
Well, I would like to do that. I will say one note of caution. I have a Sarasota address. So a Sarasota address does not mean you're not a
Right.
resident of Manatee
That's
County.
correct.
But if they're coming from a, Sarasota County school, that would be something
Right.
different. I would like to hear, since we're going to address back just a little bit more on the Y-dash at Harley Middle School. We know there's no school at Harley Middle School, but they do use that as a community center, I believe. That's what I think Misty was saying, and that's my recollection, but I don't know that for a fact. And I do have a question about the program that's proposed by the Youth Healthy Teens Coalition. So Teen Health, new program, can't show what they achieved because it's a new program. So how do new programs, do we fund new programs ever, or we're not going to fund any new programs? I'm just kind of curious about that.
We do fund new programs, yes. We funded at least one new one this year.
Yeah.
But there's only so much money. So sometimes new programs get left behind when we have to try to continue to fund the ones we've been funding.
Right.
And also based on what they're proposing, and if it meets the criteria, my assumption is your board reviewed that. Does it meet one of the goals within your annual plan or what you've advertised the funding for?
Right.
Okay. All right, well, those are my questions, and if we do have a change, we'll be able to adopt that prior to the budget going into effect October 1st. That's what you're saying? We still have time?
Yeah, right. Your final public hearing is September 17th.
Okay.
So we would require the CSAB to be able to bring it back to you in a regular meeting before that, so you can discuss it again. You may or may not agree or ask for additional information, but as long as you adopt it prior to the September 17th budget adoption, then you can include it in this year's budget. Doesn't mean you can't talk about it after that date. It just means we would have to hold a special public hearing to do so.
Yeah, I would love to hear from the Children's Services Advisory Board about their recommendations, especially with our concerns that we're bringing up today. So, thank you.
Okay, if I can make a suggestion, why don't we like flag if everyone has a particular thing, and then we can put those aside and put a list together, and then we can go ahead and approve all the other ones.
I will withdraw my motion, because obviously we're not,
Going there.
voting as a group, so
Sure.
if the second agrees.
I will.
That's just, I
I
don't
will
know
agree
how.
to withdraw the motion as proposed.
What was the motion?
So, Mr. Chairman, at this point, staff has heard you'd like us to look at the Center for Success program, after-school enhancement, and the Manatee County Family YMCA Y- program, and we would await any others.
Right, now we'll see, we'll start with Commissioner Whitmore. She might have some items.
You know, we started results first. We knew it was going to be hard, but in the past, we were just giving money and because we thought it made sense, and that was that. Now we're holding these organizations more accountable. What you're seeing is people aren't filling out their applications right, and they're not being specific. And I'm talking about like the why that you were talking about. I mean, if you don't fill out right, it's your fault. You lost the money. I mean, this money is being searched over, there's a lot that didn't get money, and there's other programs that could be funded. So, we all have, I do want them to look at the Healthy Teens because it is a new program. But if they haven't filled out the application right, then they need to apply for it again next year, and we'll consider it. But they've got to prove to the Children's Services Advisory Board plus us, whatever they were proving that they didn't put in paper, why we should fund it. So what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing is you've got a set amount of criteria. It's results first now. This is a whole nother ballgame. We've been doing it for 2 years now, 3? 2. So this is our only second year, and that's why you're seeing this. If you don't fill it out right, shame on you. You got to hire somebody to do it if you want to. And we all have projects. This project is very near and dear to me. The Healthy Teens. I've been here since this was one of our agendas on Children's Services. About this, I do want to talk about the adults before we're done, because is this the time to mention it? I met with a person during the break who's in one of the Republican clubs with me, and he feels, and I hear it from a lot of them, that we shouldn't fund any adult programs.
We already voted on it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I know, but it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we are a caring community, and I said that I respectfully don't agree. But I mean, this Children's Services one, we have rules, and if you don't follow the rules and you don't do it right, then do it better the next time. Tallabass, I have really big concerns on that. I don't know if we should fund them this time. This happened a month after we approved it. Why can't they go back and look at it again? But to me, they have to have legitimate reasons why we're not going to fund them, though. I just don't want to do it because of what we read in the press.
Okay. Commissioner Bellamy.
Yeah, from the, I was going to make a motion to pull the Center for Success, and I know we're already there, but I think from the organization and program, the bottom line, are they in compliance? And I'm not sure whether or not they are not, but we have some other concerns about the Center for Success, and I also just looking at the program with the school district as far as just addressing bullying. That was not, and maybe this is me because I was a dean for 4 or 5 years. I think.
What program?
Where is it?
You said bullying?
Your choice.
It's the same
your
one.
choice.
Yeah, it's the same one. It's the Issue of Choice
Oh.
program. I guess from my personal experience dealing with bullying, it's a very, very sensitive and difficult issue, not just in the schools, but also in the community also. And there's some carryover often from the schools to the buses, to the youth agencies, to the community. And I'm not necessarily sure about their contract and everything they've done, but I do know from where we stand, we need to make sure that we look at that. I'm not necessarily advocating for or against, but what I wanted to do is ask that we, pull and look at it. As far as the one from the school district for Issue of Choice. And the last one was Replay Outreach. And the reason why I wanted to talk on that because it's targeting a specific group of young males that have ran into some issues with the law. And what we want to do, if there's an opportunity for an intervention, to bridge that gap so they do not run into the law, have any further incidents, I would like for us to consider looking at it, not to go against anything that's set up for results first, anything like that. I just want to make sure that I made some comments on that because of the need, And I've had some own experiences when, there's certain ways that you're coached up with results first. And I'm not saying that I'm recommending that, but I do know those options are out there. And the entity has a responsibility also. The entity has a responsibility, and that also is speaking from personal experience. But my last question, I want to ask Misty about this, as far as Harley Middle. Now, I know the school was closed. I know that the school was closed, and I did know that they were doing some programs out there. I do know they were doing some programs. Am I correct?
Susan said, yeah.
Okay, and they were not recommended for funding at all?
No, it wasn't about those programs. It was about, they were supposed to be serving middle school students. supposedly attended Harley Middle School, but there is no Harley Middle School.
I see. See,
So
they didn't do
again,
their
that's
application?
how it's written up.
Yeah,
Okay.
they should be doing the rules.
Commissioner Bellamy stands down.
Yeah, how could they pull out
Okay,
that
Commissioner Servia.
Yeah, all right, now I'm confused a little bit. So the Harley Middle School program, the application was denied any dollars, do I understand correctly?
Correct.
Because the program was only for Harley Middle School students and there's no longer a Harley Middle School.
That's one of the reasons, yes. that
But
was
the
trying to-
other programs, like they have a Christmas break program, they have a spring break, they have programs at Harley Middle School. The YMCA conducts them for some of the neediest and most at risk in our county. Those programs are not part of this funding, is that correct?
That is not what they applied for, and that would be supplanting if they had, because they're already funding those.
Yeah.
This was an
Those are
additional
already
new
funded.
program, so we have to watch for supplanting.
Okay, so I do feel better about that. I want to make sure that those children are still being serviced, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
understanding.
those programs that were already going on are still going on as far as we know, but they did not apply for funding for those. And we would have had to
Okay.
turn it down had they done so, because it would have been supplanting.
Okay, and the Centers for Success, I'm happy to hear the comments up here because I'm just not comfortable funding their program. When you look at the description that is on this spreadsheet, it says to help the children in Talavast. And I keep hearing the children in Talavast can't even access the property. So there's a big problem there. And it's just coincidental maybe that $90,000 that was budgeted there maybe could go to teen prevention, teen pregnancy prevention. It's the same ask. I see that the PACE Center for Girls has a teenage pregnancy prevention program as well, but it's just for the PACE students.
Right.
It's not countywide.
It's continued funding, yeah.
It's continued funding, which is,
And they have good outcomes.
82,000. You got it mixed up.
okay. Well, I remember when we had a huge teen pregnancy problem, and I have seen those numbers go down, and I think largely due to the efforts that we've seen. So I really would like to red flag that as well and see what we can do to fund that program.
Commissioner Whitmore.
And I just can't understand why It's Your Choice did not have scored so low. And obviously, it's the information that was given to the advisory board because we were making great strides and we can't get lackadaisical on our application to our outcomes or whatever because this is what happened. So I'd like an explanation. I guess when we talk about it in the future, but I agree with Reggie and everybody else that It's Your Choice really did bring the pregnancy rate down in Manatee County, and I don't know what happened, but maybe they don't have anybody to be tracking the numbers for the outcomes or whatever, but.
Mr.
And you're
Chairman?
agreeing with me, so, the school needs to help us on this one too, because, we were partnering with the school on this, so they need to help us on this because that shouldn't happen if we have somebody should have been tracking the information, the financial stuff, the numbers on this to present to us, and you can't expect volunteers to do it. I don't know if Mary Ann gets paid. She's volunteered since day one. You can't expect that if you're working with the school board on this. They should be helping, stepping up.
So would you like to flag that one?
Yeah, and it's
Been flagged.
it was. Reggie did.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I go back over the list real quick, just to be sure. The Y- program with Manatee YMCA is one that you'd like to send back for discussion for the advisory board. The Centers for Success Talavast's after-school enhancement, the Healthy Teens Coalition, Teen Health, Replay Outreach, Successful for Life Training, and I just need clarification on the School District of Manatee County. It's Your Choice. Is it for the entire program or just for the bullying prevention portion?
Me, it's teen pregnancy. You were bullying.
Right.
Then it's the entire one.
Right.
Okay.
Can I ask a question on that, though? Just to follow up?
Sure.
Is it okay? Just to follow up, you all made statement that it's only a 2-week program?
2 weeks every year.
2 weeks every year for $282,000?
That's teen pregnancy too.
It's in different schools.
All around?
Yeah,
All-
it's in different
all around.
schools. But it lasts 2 weeks each time, and there's no follow-up on whether or not the children are getting pregnant or whether they're bullying or whatever they're doing. There's no follow-up. There's no results.
No data, no results.
Used to
Right.
be, yeah.
All right. All right. And maybe I should not speak as a dean here, but that is a little bit of my background as far as the bullying. Man, I'm very concerned about that. But it lasts long. Bullying lasts longer than 2 weeks. I can guarantee you that. And maybe the program need to look at.
So does
considering-
having a baby, just
Exactly.
saying, you know.
That lasts 10
Thank you.
months. That was good.
Thank you, Ms. Bedak. But I don't know, it's just, maybe we'll hear from Mr. Kennedy shortly that'll kind of clear some of this up.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Just real quick, why dash? I thought the explanation was already given, so that wasn't going to be brought before us because there's no middle school. The application was for Harley Middle, and there's no middle school there.
Well, again, I think you're asking the Children's Services Advisory Board to give you some additional information and to be full and complete. I think also the chairman, if I'm not correct, would like to be here to help represent that membership as well.
Yeah, she
Is
wanted to be
Davia
here. She
Bailey.
wanted to be here today, but she was not able to.
So I think, we can give what's on paper and what's been discussed, but you do rely upon them to give you the full range of recommendations, and it's a really wide range of representation on that group as well. So it's looked at from both educational, health, law enforcement, all different types of angles. So we're okay with taking it back as well.
Okay.
Okay. Nobody else? So at this point, we'll open up finally for public comment. Whoever would like to go first, come on up, state your name. You'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning or afternoon, whatever it is by now. There's so much to cover. I'll do it as quickly as I can in 3 minutes, but let me just take a step back and provide a little bit of context about the past few years. So in the 17-18 request, It's Your Choice was awarded to the school district, and they were awarded about $300,000 and I believe $30,000. So that money was funneled to the school district. The school district would then parcel that money out to organizations like Healthy Teens Coalition, among others, to do the bullying work, to do the teen pregnancy prevention work. Now, last year, that funding was reduced to 201. The Healthy Teens Board wisely saw that trend and so decided we should probably make an application of our own just in case this goes to zero in 1920, which is in fact what happened. So the request from the Healthy Teens Coalition, that's why it's a new request. The program, this partnership started in 2010. And through that partnership, that coalition, these are reported statistics. They've already been alluded to, but I'll just give them to you real quick. The teen birth rate for age 15 to 19 is down 55% since inception. The teen birth rate for 10 to 14-year-old girls is down by 84.2%, and the repeat teen birth rate for 15 to 19 years old is down 66%. So there are results there, but Healthy Teens Coalition didn't. I can see why there's this confusion about results on the application. There is, and Emma Batar is one of our teen health educators. She's a rising senior at Lakewood Ranch. She will make a comment shortly. She can tell you exactly what she does as a teen health educator as a volunteer for Healthy Teens Coalition. Dr. Hernandez from the Department of Health is also here, and as you all know, Marianne as well. So I'm here wearing a lot of hats. The school district, I didn't plan to be one of them because I'm not here to argue for It's Your Choice of the school district. I'm happy to hear this conversation is happening, that there possibly could be a restoration of funding for the bullying work and for that kind of broad partnership of organizations that are doing pregnancy prevention. But actually what I stand before you today is to ask about, as Mr. Palmer called it, the matrix, is line 33, which is the Healthy Teens Coalition. And as you can see, it's a new application. The funding request was $90,000. The result score was 16. The total score was high, but the result score was 16, and then the funding recommendation was 0. And I know that I'm going to run out of time. I know the CSAB is a thankless job because no matter what recommendations they make, they are going to catch some fire from somewhere. So can I get like 30 seconds, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Have at it.
Thank you.
Been waiting long enough.
Okay, thank you, sir. So As has already brought, the idea that I wanted to present to you is that there is the concern with the Tallahassee Community Center, which is line 23. That is $90,000 in funding. And the ask that I wanted to make, and we wanted to make as a group, is if you could just split the difference with Healthy Teens Coalition and meet us halfway and make a motion, or it sounds like you're all going to come back to revisit this anyway, but meet us halfway, award line 33, Healthy Teens Coalition, $45,000, and that will, let Emma and her student colleague, her volunteer colleagues, continue to do the work they're doing. But I will, as far as the job of a teen health educator, I will leave that to Emma. And I'll be here if there's any questions about school district. I'll be happy to talk about Harlee. It is still a functioning school district campus. It's not a middle school, but there are multiple programs on that campus, including SABLE, which is our mental health unit, the TAP program, which is our teenage parents. There is Head Start and Early Head Start there, including Head Start for our teenage moms that are getting their education on that campus. So I'll be here if there's any more questions. I'll be happy to cover them. Thanks everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to come up and speak? Please come up and state your name.
So good morning. My name is Emma Batar. I'm the lead youth advocate and a team leader for the Healthy Teens Coalition Teen Health Educator Program. And I've been part of the program since I was a freshman. I'm now a senior at Laker Ranch High School. I also recently had the honor of being named the 2019 Manatee Chamber Youth Healthcare Champion. So to give you an understanding of what I do, me and my peers are, about 25 of us, are trained on multiple different topics: bullying, mental health, drug and alcohol use, teen pregnancy prevention, and so many other topics. I can't list them all. And we go into the community, into boys and girls clubs, homeless shelters, foster care centers, and we educate our peers probably from the age of 11 to about 18, and we educate them in these things. And those topics they largely don't get in school, really. And that's why this is even more important, because it's one of the only ways that they get this valuable information. So being a part of the Healthy Teens Coalition has completely changed my life. Even more important, through this opportunity, I believe that we have had a positive impact on the Manatee County youth, both in their lives and their general health. I'm so proud of our county and how all of us have worked together in our community to keep our youth healthy, to make Manatee County a great place to be a teen. Because of the Healthy Teens Coalition, I've had many opportunities to showcase what we have accomplished in our county, including the opportunity to speak in Washington, D.C. with our U.S. senators and congressmen and congresswomen. I'm the sole youth to have the honor of sitting on the Florida Department of Education, Family Life, and Disease Prevention Committee, along with our Healthy Teens Coalition founder, Marianne Legler. Why do we have this privilege? Because of the work on adolescent health that Healthy Teens Coalition has led in Manatee County, because of our state-of-the-art peer health education program, and because we have been so successful in Manatee County in lowering our teen birth rate. I hope that you can see through these examples that throughout our state, as well as nationally, we are viewed as a model county for how we successfully and cooperatively work together. You, who are our county leadership, our school district leadership, our youth leadership, and our community agency partners to reduce teen pregnancy and associated risk in Manatee County youth. It would be embarrassing and incredibly disappointing, not to mention also heartbreaking, to now have to go back and say, sorry, our county no longer sees teen health education and peer mentoring as a priority. I don't even know how to explain that to other communities who look up to our county truly, like it's a model county for this framework that we have. And I don't know what I would tell the youth either, who get this fundamental information from us. As a current high school student, I see the issues and struggles that my peers have to go through every day, whether that's mental health issues or substance abuse. As of right now, the Healthy Teens Coalition is one of the only groups that give them the necessary information in order for them to deal with these issues. So I implore you to continue funding us, or start funding us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to?
Good afternoon, Chair Johnson, honorable commissioners, staff,
guest. My name is Dr. Edwin Hernandez. I'm the clinical director for the Florida Department of Health in Manatee County. I'm here in behalf of Dr. Jennifer Bansi, our health officer, and the leadership of both Health Department and Manatee Healthcare Alliance. Standing here with me is Donna Priest. She's our nursing director, which has been an extraordinary asset in our teen services in Manatee County. Because of the healthcare leadership of Manatee County, I recognize the far-reaching negative impact of teen birth on both teens and children born to teen parents. The leadership have determined that our community should never suffer the consequences that put us in the top counties for teen birth rates. The Manatee Healthcare Alliance identified the teen pregnancy as one of the 9 critical issues to address from 12-15 through 2020. And Mary Ann Legler has been tapped to lead this initiative on reduction of teen birth. In addition, one of our strategic plans or strategic priorities at the Department of Health has been health equity, a health equity project where we're currently working to reduce disparities, and teen pregnancy is one of the indicators for this project. The collaboration of agencies like the Healthy Teen Coalition has been of essence to move this project forward. However, without funding to continue this critical initiative is in our community, stories tell us that rates will be very likely to increase again, and we should not allow that to happen again. In addition, there are always new challenges in adolescent health that arise. Locally and statewide, we are seeing an alarming increase on STD, including an increase in diseases that we thought they were almost beat. For example, there are steadily increases in bacterial STD rates in young people, including syphilis, in that youth population, as well as infants born to mothers with syphilis. Chlamydia and gonorrhea are also in the race, again, and particularly in youth. Mental health problems in young people are reaching epidemic proportions. E-cigarettes have become a particular challenge in our youth as well. And facing these multiple threats for our youth health and considering the accomplishment we have already obtained, it will be losing these partnerships will be simply tragic. If you allow me one more minute, please.
Sure.
Thank you. The Florida Department of Health in Manatee County is committed to doing everything which is in our power for the health and the well-being of the local youth health. However, it requires the entire community and local government leadership working together to keep our Manatee County youth health safe. In behalf of our Manatee Healthcare Alliance and the Florida Department of Health, I'll thank you for your support and your past partnership, and I urge you to find a way to fund the critical initiative led by the Healthy Teen Coalitions and the school district. I must say that coming to work at Manatee County from another county at the health department, I found that it's these partnerships what really make the difference in our communities. So please don't take this lightly, because it's up to us and our ability to work together that we can really address all the upcoming epidemics that we face. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else up? Yes, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Chairman Johnson, County Commissioners, staff, and guests. I'm Mary Ann Legler, the founding chair of Healthy Teens Coalition. I'm a certified nurse practitioner, and I retired as the It's Your Choice Coordinator in 2017. At the time, it was definitely evidence-based with looking at results. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for all of your past support in our 9-year effort to reduce Manatee County's teen birth rate, which, as you've heard, has been highly successful up to this point. Your support was the total game changer. For 19 years, Manatee County ranked in the top 12 counties out of 67 counties for teen pregnancy. When the Children's Services Advisory Board chose to fund the issue of teen pregnancy is when our rates started going down. And in less than a decade, they have gone down by 55% overall. So you all definitely deserve major kudos. One of the reasons that we chose you as the elected officials of the year a few years back for Healthy Teens. As all of you are aware, today's youth are faced with challenges unlike ever before. In addition to teen pregnancy, stress, mental health, depression, suicide rates are up. You heard about e-cigarettes, STD rates are skyrocketing, fear of school and community shootings, only to name a few of the issues that these young people face. They deserve our support and our help. That's the reason that we started Healthy Teens Coalition, and that's the reason it's dedicated to reducing risky behaviors in our local youth by providing them with the knowledge and skills to make positive, informed choices about their health and well-being. Our most effective and our flagship program is our peer health education and peer mentoring program known as the Teen Health Educator Program. Through this program, we train young people like Emma that are representative of the demographics of our county to present peer education and mentoring with a special focus on our most vulnerable, high-risk youth. Research, as well as our 5 years of experience with the Teen Health Educator Program, demonstrates that young people strongly identify with their peers and that therefore they're going to use their peers as their major source of support and information. We want those peers to give them the right information, hence we put them through those 6 weeks of extensive training and training then thereafter every month. It also shows, research also shows that peer education and mentoring produce greater attitude changers, lower dropout rates, and increased critical thinking skills. May I continue? Okay. Unfortunately, in our state and our community, less than 2% of our secondary school students have the benefit of a freestanding health class anymore. Our collaborative partnership in Manatee County has been lauded on both a state and now a national level as a model program. In fact, since 2014, this group of 25 young people that volunteer their time in our community has to date provided peer education and peer mentoring to over 7,000 at-risk Manatee County youth. Just since January of this year alone, they provided these services to over 1,500 youth in our community. Without your support at best, we will need to cut back on our programs. I thank you for working with us to provide our local youth with the health education, the mentoring and support that they so desperately need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to come down and speak? Seeing nobody, we will close public comment. Commissioner Benak.
Wow. With all due respect to everyone, I can see why there's confusion. I heard from Charlie Kennedy that the pregnancy prevention program at the school board, they saw that was being, the funding going down, so you established a new program at the Teen Coalition, the Healthy Teens Coalition, which has been an incredible program. I have seen it. I've gone to your award ceremony. I knew some of the kids that went through there. Incredible program. Desperately needed. more and more as kids are facing such incredible challenges. Social media alone, I don't know how we deal with it. I really don't, because it is such a horrific thing, the impact it has on our children, quite frankly. But then I heard, well, you can take the 90,000 from the Tallabass and split it between who for what. We have the school district, which I don't think I heard anyone advocating for. So I'm totally confused. So if I'm totally confused, I can understand perhaps why our Children's Services Advisory Board was confused and our staff. But I will advocate for funding for the Healthy Teen Coalition because it's an incredibly successful program. I think we're going to have the money to do that if we don't give it to the Tallabass Community Center. And, you know, maybe this is a one-time thing. Maybe they'll get their act together. Maybe they'll come in with something. But that's what I would advocate for. I do have a question for Sherry. So do we approve some of this today, or should we hold off? Because I think there might have been a failure to communicate. That's what I'm going to call this at this point. And I know we got a lot of moving parts, but you guys have done a great job advocating for this. To the young lady, we have no intention of stopping your program. Your program will continue. You guys have done a wonderful job. So I think it was a failure to communicate with a lot of moving parts. So what do we do? Do we hold off?
We
on
would
everything?
recommend that you do not hold off on all the other programs that were recommended. If there's no questions about those, we would recommend that they move forward. We've heard from the board today that you'd like us to look at 5 programs. That's the Manatee Family YMCA Y-Dash, the Center for Success Tallabass, After School Enhancement, the Healthy Teens Coalition Teen Health, the Replay Outreach Success for Life, and the school district's It's Your Choice. Staff would mention that the Children's Services Advisory Board meets on August 21st, and they would have an opportunity to go back and go through what was said at those meetings, what was reviewed over the 3 or 4 months on the programs, and then be able to send back some information to you prior to the September 17th board adoption.
Well, and again, I just think our job is to tell them the way we're thinking, and that's certainly my thought, was to fund this $90,000.
We will provide the comments and actually we can provide the comments as they're written in the minutes from this meeting so that the advisory board will know. I can attend the meeting along with Ava and Susan. We can make sure they're fully aware.
Thank you.
And I just point out again, I mean, it sounds like, you know, we're not talking a lot of money here. The way this is set up, we have a $525,000 reserve in the Children's Services Fund. So, you know, we do have some money that's a cushion there that if we determine we want to fund this or split fund it with Talavast or something, so it's not like we're spending the whole shooting match here today. So I'm kind of in favor of approving what's here and then coming back with the ones that we flagged.
Mr. Chairman, I would mention also, since you brought this up, there is an additional $135,000, if you recall, that came back. All these decisions were made prior to the July 1 setting of the millage rate, and so it was isolated in your budget meeting last week that we have to add that back in as well. So there would be just a little bit more than $525,000, and that would be part of what we would take back to the advisory board too.
Right. Thank you. Commissioner Bellamy.
Yes, a couple of things. I actually spoke to the county administrator about that concerning the $135,000 when we were talking about potentially looking at some of the programs that were not funded. I do think and maybe I don't understand it, Commissioner Benak, but from us, as far as county commissioners, we have to allow the Community Service Advisory Board to do their part. It's just far as a point of order. If I'm wrong, let me. And at this point, it's probably
You
just.
don't have to, I got you.
Well,
Tell me
we
what
don't-
you sent her last
I would
year
just say
without
it's
going
not,
back before.
if I could respond,
And that's what I wanted, that open conversation, please.
if I could respond. I mean, they've given us a recommendation. I'm saying maybe the information wasn't clear.
Right. and I
I'm
agree.
trying, I don't know that for a fact, because you're right, they're not here. I'm certainly willing to listen to them,
Right.
but do we have to? No, it's up to us to make a decision now. I'm just
that's
clarifying
good,
that, but I'm not disagreeing with you that we should hear from them
Okay.
why, but from what I've heard so far, they made their recommendation before all this stuff with Talavast came up, and I'm not sure they understood exactly what was happening with Healthy Teens taking over this program, that it's not new, it's a shift. Maybe they did, I don't know. So it just appears to me. So I'm willing to wait.
Right.
I'm definitely willing to wait. I'm just being clear. So, you get a lot of folks that sat here all day trying to not make them come back from, and I would encourage other ones to give feedback to these folks that come here, what your thoughts are, so they know if they feel comfortable or not, that we're not going to pull the funding on the Healthy Teen Coalition.
So that's just my clarity on protocol. I appreciate that. I think that the gray area that we have to be real careful of is negotiating splits and things like that from the community and things. And that's just me on my understanding based on all the responsibility from the CSAB. And I know Charlie personally, he's a great negotiator, and he's going to find a way to get some things that he's trying to get accomplished. But I like where we are. I just want to consider the replay and some of the other ones also when we start looking at that funding and things of that nature. So thank you.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Just my final comment. Healthy Teen Coalition, and it's your choice, in my mind, has always been the same.
See, I didn't know.
Yeah, but now you've separated Susan. I'd like a comment here, because it says the Manatee School District of Manatee, and it's always been, in my mind, together. And so if we don't fund these two recommendations from the Children's Advisory Board, if we agree with their recommendations, that means they get no funding and their programs completely go away, correct?
They would
As
get
far
no
as you
funding
know.
from us. I don't know if their program would go
Well,
away.
who knows? I mean, we've never even heard if the school board ever gave any money, but okay, here's my deal. I was there in 2010 when this started, and or 9 years ago. We have cut down teen pregnancy in Manatee County 55%. We've got the data to show. The problem is, who's ever submitting these applications is not giving our board the information they need. And I'm going to say, shame on you guys. You need to do a better job. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can prove it, like we were saying, but we know in Manatee County, we've been bringing this up every year, that we've seen the pregnancy rate go down. Now we're seeing an increase in STDs and all this stuff. That's the health department and other things that can work on that. I don't want to put my foot off the brake on this. I hope you ask the Children's Advisory Board to consider this again and find out what the heck, why. I mean, we know the pregnancy rate's gone down. But why are they not filling out their applications right? We can't hold somebody's hand when they do this, but we have to figure out what to do. I know we have money in reserves, but we also have a 20% reserve we have to carry, in case something happens, because we had to lower their funding years ago when we crashed, so trust me, that money would be used wisely if we keep it in there. I don't think we should just spend it. I'm just telling you, I can't let these two programs go, at least this one program go, because we have demographics, we have stats that show that it has worked. So please pass that on to the board when you bring that up.
So you would suggest funding these programs and then taking money elsewhere from some other programs?
No, I'm gonna let,
Said you didn't want to touch the reserves.
That's right, I don't.
Where's the money gonna
I
come
don't
from?
know. That's up to the staff. That's up, well, have we ever even asked, does the school board, they've got a lot of money in their budget too. Have they ever put any money in towards this?
I think what the board should know, and I believe it's out here too, is that there's a fine line between what we can fund
Right.
that happens within the school day period. It can't be anything that's under the sole jurisdiction of the school board as directed by the Department of Education.
Okay.
As well, they can't fund programs that fall outside of their charge. So we
That's
try to
why.
work together on things so that these other additional things can happen. The programs do have to have the permission of the school district to present them during a school day. And so we happen with coordination. But, I would say let us go back to the advisory board and get some comments. And we hear everything you're saying. At the end of every year, there are funds that aren't always drawn down from every program. We'll be closer to knowing what that is by the end of September as well, and we may most likely be able to bring you back the more real-time numbers at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Servia.
Yeah, just a couple final comments. So, as I understand this spreadsheet, Take Stock in Children is not being funded because they didn't file an application, is what it appears to me. That's not true. So could you just explain quickly why Take Stock is not being funded?
They don't qualify.
They don't qualify.
They did submit an application, but we had to deny it because they do not qualify for the funding for what they wanted it spent for.
Okay, and they did qualify last year to the tune of $250,000?
We've never funded Take
Oh,
Stock.
that's their
funded them.
request, excuse me. Okay. Okay. Have we ever given them
No.
money? Okay. All right. So I feel better about that. And, Reggie and I are pretty new up here, and I'm not totally familiar with the Results First program. I think I'd like to request a briefing on that, please, so that I have a better understanding of it. But just because an application isn't filled out correctly, I don't want to say too bad, so sorry, so sad. I'd like to instead say, let's try and help these people that are having problems filling out their applications. So, and maybe we're doing that.
They do.
We do.
He knows.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've just heard, that the application doesn't fit. We must have quit. Yeah.
And I would just have to add one more thing, Mr. Chairman, is we've talked about this before, and sometimes, as much as we want to, the funding that we have available isn't the appropriate funding for a program request. Take Stock in Children might be one of them because it's not really doesn't qualify for this, but doesn't mean that we don't think the program is good and worthy and something that should happen here locally. That's why we partner with the United Way Suncoast and Manatee Community Foundation and other philanthropic groups to try to work across the spectrum. So those are some of the things that the advisory board has to look at too, is it doesn't meet the goals. There are some times when it is not clear that there's any result at all. And so that is, in this case, what it appears some of that is there, although now all of a sudden you have results. That's really not fair to the advisory board. They didn't have any of that. So that's why we're advocating for them to have the opportunity to hear the same things you're hearing, because folks are able to come and speak.
Okay, good.
Okay. Mr. Palmer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sort of piggybacking on Sherry's commentary, it bears mentioning that the Children's Services Advisory Board is a very hardworking, well-qualified, well-intentioned group of folks. And so I think that the board is doing the courteous thing by sending back these particular flagged items for their further consideration and deliberation. And again, maybe allowing the chair of the CSAB to appear before the board as well. I think that's the right and courteous thing to do. So I think you're on the right path, in my humble opinion.
Thank you. Commissioner Trace.
I make a motion that we approve minus the Palmetto Youth Center and the 5, would you like to name them, please, Sherry? Ones that we have flagged
Yes, I will.
for approval, the
Yes.
5 that she's putting.
Manatee County Family YMCA Y-Dash, Centers for Success, Tallahassee Community Center After School Enhancement, Healthy Teens Coalition of Manatee County Teen Health, Replay Outreach Success for Life Training, and the School District of Manatee County, It's Your Choice.
Second for discussion.
Okay. Betsy?
The only thing I would want clarity on is I didn't hear anyone advocating for the School District of Manatee County, It's Your Choice.
Yes, Commissioner, I'm sorry. I did ask earlier for clarification on the teen pregnancy prevention and bullying prevention.
Okay.
And I believe Commissioner Whitmore and Commissioner Bellamy were the two that asked for those to remain together and not be separated, so.
Right.
Okay, all right, I'll wait and hear that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Benak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. I think you have just
No, his are still pulled out. I'm getting
Oh.
ready, I make a motion that we approve the Palmetto Youth Center. If-
so that, first one
Hold on.
approved 6-0. Now we're doing the
Has
next.
something.
I have some additional commentary. Okay, as we've indicated earlier, and what I'm doing here is an effort to comply with the statutory requirements. As we indicated earlier, Commissioner Bellamy does have a voting conflict relative to the Palmetto Youth Center. And specifically, he is the current executive director of the Palmetto Youth Center, a salaried position, and he thus has a voting conflict. He has acknowledged that and recognized it, and I volunteered to assist him through the process today. And so we have also prepared Florida Commission on Ethics Form 8B, which Commissioner Bellamy will sign before day's end, and we will submit that in accordance with the statutes to the clerk of court for the board's permanent records. So again, with regard to the Palmetto Youth Center, Commissioner Bellamy will be abstaining from voting, and he'll be signing and submitting Commission on Ethics Form 8B.
Thank you. With that being said, Commissioner Trace,
I'll make the motion to approve the Palmetto Youth Center recommendations.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Whitmore. Do we have to open that for public comment, probably? No?
Yes.
I think
Public
so.
comment, yes.
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 Anybody from the public that would like to discuss the funding for the Palmetto Youth Center?
I do have a question.
Oh, Betsy?
Has Palmetto Youth Center been funded in the past?
Yeah,
Yes.
every
I
year.
just want,
Yes, about since the 1990s.
okay, so, and we're recommending even funding for that program?
Correct.
Okay, just clarity for the public.
And again, for the record, there are 2 programs associated with the Palmetto Youth Center.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Both of them then, is that the same?
That is the
proposed?
motion to recommend both of them.
Okay, and both of them, that is correct, they've both been funded in the past, and we're recommending equal, or
Level funding.
level, stable funding, whatever it's called. Thank you.
Okay. I guess we need to close public comment. Seeing nobody come down, we have a motion by Commissioner Trace, seconded by Commissioner Whitmore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 with Commissioner Bellamy abstaining.
So when will we come back for this children's services stuff?
Commissioners, they meet on August 21st, so we'll come back the next regular meeting. I don't have that with me right now, but Diane probably knows, is that September 10th.
Do you think we could please have a time certain? Because these.
Certainly.
people's- Okay.
Certainly,
Thank you.
we will make it a time certain.
Okay, that's it. We're adjourned.